Under the rituals laid out in the scriptures, succession to the imperial throne has begun. The royal heirs shall select their champions through the ancient trials of fire and blood. Sworn upholders of the faith, warriors without fear. These champions shall decide who will ascend the throne. All shall witness the power of God's chosen. And to those who dare threaten holy Amarr, it shall be known, retribution will be righteous.
Good morning, New Eden, and welcome back to the Amarr Championships. Before we begin today, we would like to express our solidarity with Capsuleers around the globe. The EVE community is both strengthened by and reliant upon diversity, and our thoughts are with those Capsuleers who cannot be with us today. With me at the desk for this, the second round of the Amarr Championships, I have CCP Fozzy and CCP Sledgehammer. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Good afternoon.
Really glad to be here.
Are you excited about today's matches?
Oh yes, very excited. I think we've got some
so.
really great matches coming up.
Right on. And of course, in the booth, two additional dev commentators, CCP Rise and CCP Claymore. Hey. Gentlemen, how are you?
Great. Yep, looking forward to it.
Excellent. We have a little bit of time to discuss the rules for this, the second round of the Amarr Championships. Of course, CCP Fozzy, instrumental in drafting early versions of those rules, and all of us involved in sort of discussing the impact that they might have on gameplay. Would you like to tell the viewers at home a little bit about what we expect to see today and how the proceedings will progress?
Yeah. The rules for this weekend are in a lot of ways an homage to the really early Alliance tournaments. In those tournaments, we had people in different size brackets going down. So it started out with one battleship, one cruiser, one frigate. And then we had a tournament with one battleship, one battlecruiser, one destroyer, one frigate. So for this round, we're allowing people a bit of flexibility. So you can have one pilot in either a battleship or battlecruiser, another one in either a battlecruiser or cruiser, one in a cruiser or destroyer, and one in a destroyer or frigate. So you're going to see kind of a progression downwards of size throughout the teams.
And that's going to keep the fleet compositions fairly varied.
Yeah.
We expect to see different selections all around. CCP Sledgehammer, what kind of ships or what ships in specific are you looking forward to seeing on the field today?
I'm looking forward to seeing some battleships getting some action. Like, they're probably one of my favourite ship classes. Just, I don't know, there's something really nice and meaty about a battleship. So I'm looking forward to seeing them on the field. And also, yeah, cruisers as well is going to be an interesting size bracket.
Now, of course, the number of ships available has been cut down in a traditional way by ship bans.
Yes.
And of course, we have a different sort of ban system coming in for this round of the tournament. Instead of it being limited to simple round bans, as occurs in, for instance, the Alliance tournament, there are full round bans that cover the entirety, every match that will be played over the next 2 days. Now, each of these teams received one of these bans?
Yep, so each team was able to submit secretly via email one ship type that would be banned then for this entire weekend for all teams.
There's a bit of a risk there, making it a secret. It's possible that all 6 teams could have banned the exact same ship.
It is possible. It would be pretty unusual or pretty unexpected for all of them to ban the same, but we actually probably would have expected some overlap, but we actually didn't see any overlap at all. All the teams banned different ships.
No duplicate bans in the secret banning process. We have those bans in for the entire round. All rounds banned the Absolution, the Armageddon, the Augurer, the Guardian, the Legion, and the Purifier. Now that's interesting. That's both logistics cruisers covered in the full round bans.
The only ship that we will see with any remote repair modules this weekend is the Inquisitor frigate. You can use repair drones as well, but the actual remote repair modules are limited to that one ship. Now, and of course, you could ban that ship in any individual match.
Do you imagine that we're going to be seeing the Inquisitor in a lot of these matches?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see it here and there. Yeah.
Sledgehammer, would you prefer to rely on rep drones versus, say, a dedicated logistics frigate?
Yeah, I mean, I would opt for rep drones because you can fill that slot with, if a Confessor, if it isn't used in the higher tier, or assault frigates, something that pumps out a little bit more DPS. Or even, something with more utility like the Sentinel for tracking disruptors. We'll see how important that is through these matches.
And of course, while we're discussing EWAR, another change in this round of the tournament is an approach towards ECM, which was not covered in the first round. Fozzie, would you like to elucidate on that?
Yeah, so for this round, we are not allowing any ECM at all. So that means the multispectral jammers, racial jammers, ECM bursts, and ECM drones all banned for this weekend. We did see quite a lot of ECM last weekend. We knew it would be pretty strong coming in. It was stronger than we expected, for sure. And so we decided for this round we would add this rule in, tweak it a little bit from the original plans, and I think it's going to lead to some really exciting fights.
Interestingly, in that first round, we did see ECM very prevalent. What we didn't see was a lot of matches going to full time. I think only one match, actually, maybe two?
One match went to full time as far as I can remember, yeah.
Which you would expect maybe to see a little bit more of if no one could lock anything at all.
In general, the fact is the ECM last weekend was not as strong in kind of pure jamming ability as it would have been on a bonus Caldari ship. Even though you know the racials, a racial Amarian jammer on an unbonus ship is actually still weaker than a multi-spec on, say, a Blackbird. But you were able to spread it across the whole team. You weren't able to figure out exactly which teams had the jams, and that was a very strong dynamic. So what you actually just saw was a lot of jams here and there throughout the whole fight, which really started messing with teams' plans and made it a lot less predictable.
Of course, if you were paying attention to the screen earlier that listed the full round bans, you might have also gotten a glimpse of the bans for the first match. The structure for today's play will be 3 matches. That's participation from every team still in the tournament, followed by a break, then another 3 matches, then another break, then the final 3 matches of the day. Of course, that means the first match coming up will be Kador versus Khanid, followed by Ardashapur versus Tashmir, followed by Korazor versus Sarum. And the bans for that first match, if I can bring them up briefly.
Yeah, so we have Kador banned out both the recon ships, so the Curse and the Pilgrim, and Khanid banned out the Prophecy and the Harbinger Navy issue, so banning out 2 of the remaining battle cruisers. It's really interesting seeing that combined with the full round bans. Khanid has eliminated, because of the fact that the Legion and the Absolution are already eliminated, with now the Prophecy and the Harbinger Navy issue out, it actually limits quite a bit what good options are available for that second pilot slot that could fly a battlecruiser or cruiser. I'm going to expect we're probably going to see Damnations from both teams in that slot.
Sledgehammer, any thoughts on that?
Banning out the Curse and the Pilgrim by Kadar sort of indicates they're going to be using larger guns. So they definitely don't want to come up against the recons because they're bonus for tracking disruption. So yeah, Navy battleship, maybe Prophecy, because that's not actually banned in this match. It's just the Curse Pilgrim, Damnation, and...
No, actually, the Prophecy is banned in this match. It's Prophecy and...
oh, right.
Prophecy and Harbinger Navy.
Oh, my bad. I've got my notes wrong.
So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right with the battleships. It's interesting, actually, that we didn't see more battleship bans in the round bans and no battleship bans for this individual match. It means that the Geddon is the only battleship that's off the table, so both of the 2 Navy battleships are available. And I expect we're going to see a lot of those throughout this whole kind of weekend, unless they're banned individual matches.
We'll certainly be able to see exactly what they brought. Right now, the teams have taken the field and the match is ready to go. We will kick it over to CCP Rise and CCP Claymore for commentary on this, the first match of the second round of the Amarr Championships.
Thank you. Welcome. CCP Claymore joined by CCP Rise for the first match, Kador versus Khanid. We're seeing both of the Navy battleships being brought. For Ithica Hawk, we've got the Armageddon Navy, and from Damassys Kadesh side, we have the Apocalypse Navy issue. Both teams fielding the same ships for the rest of the setup, the Sacrilege, the Damnation, and the Confessor. CCP Rise, do you want to talk us through some of their fits?
Yeah, I can try and take a look. Still getting my camera sorted a bit, but looks like the Apox Pulse is pretty standard. I assume the Geddon is as well. Yeah, looks like it. I mean, yeah, this in this. Relying on kind of these core ships, Battleship and having a Damnation, both teams are going to want to brawl. It's not really fast, and they know they're going to be close to each other, so going with pulses should be fine. We're underway now, and yeah, they started maybe only 30k. Some of the ships are really close, starting at 0.
Damnation for Damassys Kadesh actually warped in at 0, with the
Yeah.
rest of his fleet coming in about 30.
Yeah, and they're going to bring a Confessor down real quick. That Confessor flown by Johnny
Twelvebor's gone.
Yeah,
He's down.
he dove into the back line, was way past kind of where the rest of his team was, got isolated and got killed pretty easily by the rest of the team there. So that's too bad for him. But that Damnation started 0, now like 60% armor, big tank on that, should take a while. And now Damassys Kadesh team getting started on the Sacrilege from the Ithica
I
side.
think they warped the Damnation in as bait. It's a pretty tanky ship. They're gonna.
I mean, I'm sure they're fine with it getting shot first. I don't know about bait. They probably would. It's more like heavy tackle. It's there to sort of screen for the rest of the team. They can kind of make it so that either you have to shoot it or you have to deal with being stuck next to it for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be paying off. The Damnation sitting at about 3/4 of his armor left, while the Sacrilege for Jaxley is slowly going down. He's under quite a bit of
about half armor. The good news for the Sacrilege, though, is that he's not tackled. He's actually got kind of free reign to go wherever he wants. So he can actually pull range. The APOC's got a ton of range, of course, got a range bonus on there, so they can hit him from pretty much anywhere on the field. But it's still good to not be tackled. He'll mitigate some damage by moving, and he can potentially stay away from the other Sacrilege and Damnation missiles.
Yeah, I mean, as you say that, he's still taking chunks of damage.
Yep.
We've actually got 2 different setups from the Sacrileges and the Damnations. The Jaxley's Sacrilege is running the heavy assault missiles. So is the Damnation from Bayarche, whereas Destinoya and Damassys Kadesh are running heavy missiles.
Okay, so they want to make sure they can hit anywhere on the field, and they want to get a little bit better projection, better application against the smaller ships like a Confessor.
Yep.
Kind of a strange choice. I would think Hams, and down goes that Sacrilege.
Jaxley's down in his Sacrilege.
Yeah, Damassys Kadesh looking really strong right now, obviously. I'm a little surprised. I would think Hams in this format would be a really good bet because you're going to be against some big ships. So for at least kind of the majority of the HP you have to deal with in the match, you should be able to apply just fine. There isn't going to be a lot of ships moving around really quickly, and there isn't, you're at least going to have a battlecruiser and a battleship. So I like that choice to go with Hams.
But with the range the likes of the Apocalypse Navy can get out to, and Hams being quite short range weapon systems, they play off against each other, it looks like, really well for this time for a Damassys Kadesh side.
Yep.
They've pulled range from most of the ships. The Apocalypse Navy issue just sitting way back, about 60k from everyone else, just piling on some damage with those pulse lasers.
So this choice to focus on the Damnation to start, I think, is definitely kind of the big strategic difference here in this match. They're about to kill the Damnation. It's not out of the question that the Damnation and Geddon left on the other side could kind of pull this match back. I don't think that's impossible, but they've got to bring this Damnation down. And he's getting low, but it's taken them so long to get through it.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting low. It looks like he's repped back a little bit. The Armageddon Navy issue now for Ithica Hawk, dropping down to about a third of his armor gone. Do you think they have time to take down a Sacrilege and Apocalypse Navy issue, considering the range the Navy issue's sitting at as well, and the Confessor?
Probably not. It's going to be really hard. They don't have a lot of... actually, I want to check, see if they have any active repping on the Geddon. But it's just going to be really hard for him to survive. There's obviously tons of damage still, even with the Damnation gone. That's like... a significant amount of damage off the field, but with 3 ships left, it's going to be really hard for the Geddon to hang in there.
So how are tracking disruptors? You can see the tracking disruptors being applied to the Navy Armageddon.
Yep.
How important are they going to be this weekend, especially for the Navy battleships?
I mean, I would think that that we have an MJD active there. Damnation going to jump away with almost no structure left at all. We were talking about how important scrams are going to be this weekend because it's going to be so common for people to be doing this. They're going to tank forever, and then when they get low, they're just going to jump away. So now Damassys Kadesh is a full 100k away, and none of the damage from that Navy Geddon is going to be able to reach him, I wouldn't think.
And Damassys Kadesh using heavy missiles, that range...
That's true.
Once he gets back into range, he can start applying damage quicker than the...
Yep.
the damnation from Bay Archie with his heavy assaults.
That's it's a really big move. It means they get to keep their links active as well.
Yep.
Which is a really big deal. Nice job by him getting out with just like 30% of his structure left. But back to your question, I think tracking disruptors will be pretty important. I mean, we know there's probably going to be a battleship in almost every. I mean, there will be battleships in every match, and all of them rely on turrets. Since the Geddon is banned, it's the only one that really could get away without needing them. So, having at least some tracking disruptors to kind of give you more options against those battleships is probably going to be really smart.
Will we be seeing them spread across the board so that if, for example, the Confessor we see going down now from Aria, will we see him across the board so you're not heavily reliant on one ship applying all the tracking disruption?
Yeah, I mean, probably so. I mean, Amarr is generally a little low on mid slots.
Yeah.
You don't need as many here, but there's a lot you want to do with them. I mean, I assume some of them will find room for tracking disruptors, but like we see here, you're going to need scrams in a lot of cases too. You need cap. These big battleships can't run for a 10 or 15 minute match without a lot of cap coming from those mid slots. So there'll be definitely a lot of things you want to bring. I'm sure they'll find room for tracking disruptors though, especially on the smaller support ships.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Confessor for Aria is slowly going down here. But the Armageddon for Ithica Hawk also, he's slowly running out of armor, although they've switched over to the damnation of Bay Archie.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Oh, I bet the Geddon MJD'd as well. I believe so. That's actually true. That's one way you can deal with not having a scrim, is you can just follow. If they don't have scrims either, you can just go wherever they go.
Yep.
And yeah, it is strange they switched damage though. There's still looks like the Navy APOC still shooting at the Navy Geddon, but some damage going onto that damnation as well. It is kind of interesting.
See the tracking disruption target painter being applied again. Target painter's coming across from, is this the Confessor? It looks like.
Yeah, now Confessor getting finally down low enough where he's probably going to go down. He's sitting on a micro jump unit as well, and so he could move somewhere. But
another swarm
now repping back.
Swarm of armor maintenance bots around him.
Yep.
Are they going to play with the ECM drones being banned out for the whole weekend? Yeah. Are these going to be a huge part to play in it?
Most likely, yeah. I think unless, except for maybe, the ships that have damage bonuses to drones and want to use them for, like, if we see matches with lots of curses and arbitrators, or something like that. I guess you wouldn't see arbitrators, curses, and pilgrims maybe.
Yeah.
You would probably see more damage drones maybe, but I imagine rep drones will be really popular. It's going to be one of the best sources of pulling HP back, and as we can see, these matches are going to be long, so you probably get a lot of value out of those rep drones as well. Over the course of the match, they're going to give you tons of HP, and without Logi there to be providing that, it's going to have a lot of value. And now Navy Geddon of Ithica going into structure.
Going to structure, it looks like they've taken the heavy armor maintenance bots off of him. Have they just given up on him? We're going to try and keep this damnation alive.
Navy Geddon does have active reps though as well. You can see the effect there.
Yep.
So he is repping back, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's going to be a cap star ship, so it's going to be kind of hard to support running reps. But I mean, like I was just saying, these matches are going to be long, so you get tons of value out of repping. You know, you're not going to be against enough damage that your ships are going to go down too fast to make active reps worthwhile. So.
Yep, and Ithica Hawk just slowly peeling back some armor, but he's bleeding structure every volley he's getting. We've got about 1 minute 30 left to go. Do you think Damassys Kadesh has time to take down the damnation, and considering this Geddon is just slowly clawing it back every time?
I think.
And he's gone.
Yeah, with him gone. The Damassys Kadesh team has done a really, really good job here keeping their ships alive. That damnation was super low. The Confessor was really low as well, and they've managed to keep them both on the field, which is probably mostly due to really good piloting. You can see there is a scram active there on Damassys Kadesh, so Ithica Hawk's team did have a scram on that damnation. Speaking of mid-slots as well, you can see Painters active, and actually both the Damnation and the Sacrilege running target Painters on Damassys Kadesh side. So valuing those
for those
highly.
Watching, what does a target painter do?
It makes your signature radius bigger, which affects all the damage application in the game. So whether you're shooting with turrets or with missiles, your signature radius has a big effect on how much damage those weapons apply. So by target painting something, you increase damage coming into that target from all sources. So it's especially valuable when you have big weapons like these battleship turrets or heavy assault missiles.
So we've got about 20 seconds left to go. This Damnation just holding on. Looks like Damassys Kadesh is going to take this one.
I have a feeling a lot of the matches are gonna in this format are gonna end with a Damnation.
Yeah,
slowly.
Unless it gets banned out, it's a super tanky ship.
Yeah.
Just applying, and there we go.
Yep,
Match
that's
is
the end of the
over.
match. So congratulations, Damassys Kadesh, taking your first match of the day, and we'll go back to the guys at the desk.
So he's gonna live to fly another day.
Because of winning with broadswords and then winning with Dominic's system.
This was a very interesting match. I'm going to come back and look at this later.
Oh no, he's so cool, but not very good.
And Damassys Kadesh puts 1 in the win column. House Kador, unfortunately, garnering a single loss. Now, this round of the tournament is not the single elimination style that we saw in the first round, a round-robin tournament in which each team will fight every other team. So over the course of the next 2 days, we will see each team fight 5 matches. Kador has 4 ahead of them, a chance to turn it around. What went wrong on field?
I like the ship choice, like the combined ship and weapon choices from the Canada team more. The heavy missiles combined with the Navy APOC, I think work really well together. It means you have a lot of projection of damage. You can hit people across. Like we talked about, or the commentators talked about, how the Sacrilege was untackled and moving around the field from the Kador team. But because of the fact that he was up against pulse lasers with a range bonus and heavy missiles, he was still taking damage. He wasn't easily able to get out of range. If he'd been up against HAMS and the shorter range Navy Geddon lasers, he could have sat far enough away to actually eliminate the damage and survive. But they were able to just hit ships at great distances, which was a huge advantage.
Once again, we saw the micro jump units coming into effect. Of course, not quite as common in other tournament structures that we've seen. Sledgehammer, were you surprised to see it go on?
I'm not surprised, but it was excellent timing on the part of Damassys Kadesh. Excellent move, and again, coupled with the heavy missile launchers, you can still project damage out there.
I think
great
teams
move.
need to consider putting at least one scrambler onto their setups, because if you can eliminate the opposing team's ability to use those jump drives while you can use them yourself, you're at a huge advantage.
Yeah.
If they've been able to kill it, I mean, by that point it's a bit too late. I think the combination of just being a little bit outplayed in the ship fittings and then also biting on that damnation at 0 instead of going after something squishier really, really hurt the Kador team. But if they had been able to at least kill it, they would have had some chance.
Now-
Using that Confessor really early on as well.
Johnny 12 bore.
Johnny 12 bore, yeah.
Unfortunate. Actually, quite pivotal, I believe, in the earlier matches where they moved forward into this round.
Yeah.
To lose a pilot that skilled that soon in the match has to have an impact not only on your ability to actually connect with damage, but also on the morale of your fellow pilots.
For sure, it'll definitely put the shivers up you.
Again, the damage projection really helped. You have a tracking bonus on the Navy APOC, you have the heavy missiles range, and then a target painter meant that they were able to apply almost full damage, or at least quite a lot of damage, to the Confessor.
Now, it's also interesting, the only difference between those two comps was, ignoring the fits, the only difference hull-wise was the choice of battleship.
Yeah.
So
I think it's going to be a choice we're going to see a lot of teams struggling with, because these are kind of the two obvious ships for Pilot 1.
Now, are we going to see bans increase to kind of push people out of those strong faction battleships?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of it, although if we see bans, we'll probably see bans for both of them, because there's advantages to having a comp that's built around one or the other and then hoping you face the other. But if you try to ban the one you don't want your opponent to use, that usually means you're banning your own as well then. But yeah, I think it's an interesting comparison. You get more damage out of the Navy Geddon, you get more drone bay for the rep drones, but the Navy APOC has tracking and range.
Of course, with the absence of those logistics ships, the logistics cruisers that we talked about earlier, it's possible that those increased drone base sizes are going to have more of an impact, and you are going to want to bring that in. Now, Sledge, we were talking earlier about the second slot and how that gets limited here.
Yeah.
What ships are you afraid of in there, or what do you expect to see banned out of that second slot?
I mean, like Domination's got to be an obvious choice for the second slot ban. Like getting links off the field is super important. You don't want somebody to have that advantage over you.
Of course, the other command ship, the Absolution, banned by the full round bans earlier on.
And seeing the prevalence of rep drones as well, like a prophecy is also like a very good choice to ban in that second slot. It provides a lot of utility as well. Again, like Recon's. The Prophecy and the Damnation, I reckon, are probably going to be the most common bans for that slot.
Of course, we do have bans coming in for the next match, match 2, which will be Ardashapur versus Tashmir Khan. Those bans in, that's the Prophecy and the Damnation. And the Curse and the Sentinel, that's the
electronic attack fragment.
Yeah, Tech 2.
So it's the Kelon Darklight Tashmir Khan team, obviously worried about tracking disruptors. And this is something we saw from Ithica Hawk's Kador team as well. In this case, choosing to ban Curse and Sentinel instead of Curse and Pilgrim. I think banning Curse and Sentinel is a great choice for that. The Pilgrim's a bit easier to kill. The Sentinel is really fast and get around the field very easily. The bans of the Damnation, I think, is something I agree with, that we're going to see it banned a lot. It's not a surprising ban to see.
It's a powerful ship, and it's maybe too strong a weapon to let your opponents have, especially with these particular rules that are in place. The teams coming up, Ardashapur and Tashmir Khan. The pilots, SoulLess Zealot, of course, putting in a really tremendous performance, I think, in the first round. Kelon Darklight, maybe not as strong on field, but still like very impressive, especially his second match.
Yeah, I mean, Kelon Darklight, I think, had some pretty amazing. His team did some pretty amazing things. Yeah. We saw him with like a complete dominance of the understanding of the metagame with the Legion and Confessor teams that they faced off against Chesser's team. Yeah. Going with the Rapid Light Missile Legion, that really just a lot of people didn't see coming. I think was a very, very good choice there, and I think that illustrates a really good understanding of the way these matches work with like the time pressure that these people are faced with. They don't have a lot of time to figure out the setups.
And of course, they didn't have a lot of time to figure out these setups either. Not only were the rules themselves only delivered yesterday, but the bans came in just this morning? Or
the group bans, like the bans for the entire weekend, those came in at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
1 o'clock.
So 2 hours before we started the first match. And then the bans for each individual match are done 45 minutes before the match.
Of course, we love to see players struggling.
Well, the great thing about this is that it's a real chance for the best theory crafters and the best pilots to shine. This is a very elite tournament, so we're putting all the teams under a lot of pressure, but it's under equal pressure for both. And it means that if you really can think on your feet, you're going to be able to react really well. And that's going to be taken to its logical extreme at the finals at Fanfest.
It's interesting. I've often heard it said that any fight in EVE is determined before you undock. So how much have we limited that as a factor? These guys have to think on their feet. They have to be able to fly their comps. They have to be able to come up with their fleet comps on the fly, and then they have to be able to execute once they get on the field. How nerve-wracking can that possibly be?
Yeah, I mean, like PvP and EVE is nerve-wracking at the best of times, I would say, is a fair statement. Yeah, adding that much pressure has got to make for some like really interesting discussions on the team side.
Oh, we'll certainly get some interesting discussions from the boys in the booth as we go to them for the second match of the Amarr Championships, Ardashapur versus Tashmir Khan.
All right, welcome back, guys. I'm CCP Rise here with CCP Claymore, and this is SoulLess Zealot versus Kelon Darklight in the second match of the day. Very different setups than the first match. Well, at least sort of different. We have obviously no Damnation, so that's going to be the biggest change. What's on the field?
So we have with Kelon Darklight's team, Armageddon Navy issue, Harbinger Navy issue, Devoter, Confessor. For SoulLess Zealot, we have Apocalypse Navy issue, Sacrilege, Harbinger Navy issue, and Heretic.
Yeah, so Heretic rather than Confessor. That's pretty interesting
Yep.
on SoulLess Zealot side. And then Devoter rather than Sacrilege on Kelon Darklight side, which is kind of interesting.
Yep, super interesting. Both teams seem to have gone for long-range weapon systems. We've got beams on most of them, pulses on the battleships, heavy missiles on the Sacrilege. So we're not going to have any... Are we expecting to see any of them in close together, or are they going to try and just keep range, apply damage?
I don't know. I assume still that we'll have some close range fighting. Both the Devoter and the Sacrilege want to be fairly close. So, like you said, they have heavy missiles on the Sacrilege, so he can stay a bit out of range. Going for the Heretic right away, see if he's able to stay alive with all that damage rejection. The teams did start fairly far apart. I think you got a shot of the arena there, but especially SoulLess Zealot's team, they came in at max range to the beacon, 50k, but still able to keep that Heretic alive, even though he took a bunch of damage right away. And now it looks like some of that damage moving over onto the Sacrilege.
Yep, so now we can see tracking disruption being applied to both the Navy Armageddon and the Devoter of Kelon Darklight's side, potentially causing huge issues for these two ships to apply damage back to SoulLess Zealot's side, which we can see damage coming down now on the Devoter.
I mean, yeah, you can see Lucian 4 there in the Devoter. He's got to get pretty close. I mean, even I don't know if he has. I think he does have beams. It might be pulse. I'm not sure, but either way, he's gonna try and go in and tackle stuff for the rest of his team so they can apply damage. But he's kind of getting kited a bit. Like most of SoulLess Zealot's team is just kind of pulling back, putting damage into that Devoter while he burns towards them, and that's working out really well for them right now. They've got him at about half armor, and they're not really taking any significant damage at all.
I mean, the Devoter, classically quite a heavily tanked ship, can get a lot of EHP out of it, but can they get the speed out of it to catch some of the Heretic, the Harbinger Navy, the Sacrilege? Because if they're relying on this Devoter for tackle, he needs to be able to pin one of these guys down so that the support ships can apply the damage.
Yep. Yeah, he is beams, the Devoter, but I mean, he's so far from the rest of his team now. He's like, I don't know, maybe 100k from his battleship, and that's pretty bad because he's trying to run out, tackle the Navy Harb so they can put damage into there, get the links down, get a bunch of the damage down, but instead he's really just getting kited, and yeah, it's not working out very well. Now he's at about a third armor and still kind of no sign of them turning this. Some damage did go into the Heretic again. They got him in a spot where they could hit him, but then stopped, and you can see his shields are actually regenning now. So
yeah, it looks like they've switched over to the Harbinger Navy issue of SoulLess Zealot now. With the
there we go. I think he was actually getting out far enough in the arena that he needed to turn around.
Yep.
And so he's kind of coming back closer to the damage and actually going down really fast now.
You can see the target plainter now, the web being applied.
I know what happened.
If he's gets tackled here, it could be over for him. With the target painter just allowing the ships from Kelon Darklight's side to apply huge amounts of damage.
So that Navy get-in was able to get real close to the Navy Harbinger of SoulLess Zealot. I don't know if he micro-jumped out to where he was or if he just burned. I didn't see. But now that he's there, able to bring down this Navy Harbinger really fast. And he's actually going to go down maybe even before the Devoter does.
Looks like he's going down before the Devoter with some big damage also coming into the Heretic of Alana Sue. They could be losing two ships in quick succession here.
I need to go back. I wish I would have been looking at what the Armageddon was doing, but I have no idea how he was able to get so close to the Navy Harbinger. I would have thought, especially once damage started to pile up, at first it was pretty light, and there goes the Heretic, so now two ships down.
So we had Maxine in the Confessor just out on his own with that Heretic. The Heretic didn't seem to stand a chance once the Confessor caught up with him. He was trying to burn back into the group, and he just got picked off by the Confessor.
And
the
Lucian's
Devoter's still alive from
I was going to say Lucian's Devoter's still alive. Armor rep bots all over him.
Yep.
And they're not going to take the time to clear those off. Even with and actually he's in a good spot in a way because he has this Navy Apocalypse right on top of him. He might even be able to out-orbit some of the damage coming from that Apocalypse. You can see right there, he's basically right underneath it. And even though they're pulses, they won't track perfectly, especially if he's able to get real close and just orbit right next to him.
Yeah, we have all the damage being applied from Kelon's team onto Torre's Apocalypse Navy issue.
Wow. You can know that's the case, that he's having a hard time tracking because he actually just switched targets.
Yeah.
That Navy APOC now is shooting at the Confessor that's far away from him rather than shooting at the Devoter that's right on top of him.
Shooting at the Confessor. They've sent over some attack drones to attack the Confessor as well. I'm going to try and take it down. Do you think they're going to be able to get it down before this Apocalypse Navy issue goes down?
Probably not. I think at that range, if he goes defensive mode and just kind of keeps his distance, stays stays out of range of most of the team, I think the APOC will be able to hit him no matter where he is, but with such a small SIG, the amount of damage is really low, and I don't think he should have much trouble tanking.
We can see the Confessor just repping back his armor with ease at the moment, while the Apocalypse Navy issue just losing his structure. About to go down, he's clawed a little bit of armor back now, but there he goes. Just got a Sacrilege left for Danmal.
Really, really well played by Kelon Darklight. Like I was saying, I would love to see go back and see how the Armageddon managed to get kind of right on top of everything, because as soon as that happened, the fight just swung immediately. I mean, I think a really good job on the Devoter's part. If he would have died earlier, maybe he would be the one that we were kind of questioning, but he managed to stay alive and then pin down ships for the Geddon to just chew through.
Yeah, so. I mean, these rep bots just so important. They've kept this Devoter up. Do you think we'll see any teams switching their whatever they bring from their smaller destroyer or frigate, just trying to clear out these drones as soon as they come out? Yeah,
maybe. I mean, they could have used the Heretic for that for sure. I think it's also not a bad option to use smart bombs.
Yep. Something I don't think we've seen yet.
No, it's hard to find the slots for it. The battleships, I think the Geddon has one utility high. The APOC doesn't have any, so it's hard to find room on those.
And with the Prophecy being jammed out, it would seem like an ideal candidate to stick smart bombs on. It's got a ton of utility highs. You could bring guns.
Yeah, and it's true. You don't need the highs as much for damage. It's tough with a ship like the Harb does have a utility high, but you need it for links, so it's hard to find room there either. Maybe on the cruisers. I mean, maybe on like a Sacrilege is going to be the best way to deal with that. To put a smart bomb on your cruiser.
Yep. Be interesting to see if we see any, because these repair drones they've kept this Devoter alive. He's slowly going back to full armor, while we see the Sacrilege slowly losing his armor now.
Checking out where that Sacrilege is at. Sacrilege does have an active rep, and he's way way away from the fight, off on his own.
Except we've just seen the Armageddon. I think he used the micro jump to get over to the Sacrilege.
Did a really good job as well by the looks of it. Landed right next to him.
Yep, he's landed right next to him. They've got the target painter being applied to the Sacrilege.
See if damage starts to stack up quickly there, and see if they can get a tackle. The Geddon wasn't. I don't know if the Geddon has tackle, but he wasn't able to get a web or anything. So
we see the rest of his fleet trying to jump over with him, or do you think they're going to try and cut him off on his approach away from the Armageddon Navy issue?
Good question. Right now, it doesn't look like they're doing any MJDing. I think they're just going to go there the old-fashioned way, it looks like. But Geddon doing some work now. Sacrilege at about half armor.
Running around the arena, trying to apply some damage. He doesn't have the damage or the speed to really catch anyone or take down. I mean, the Devoter now, he's almost fully repped. The Confessors.
Yeah. On his own, the Sacrilege really can't do much. An interesting point happening in these fights. I'm surprised how long the supports lasted. Like you were saying that the Confessor was able to go and pick off the Heretic once he decided to. I'm a little surprised that didn't happen earlier, and I would think that would happen early in most of these matches, that one of the support ships would go down early, or if not both. They actually represent quite a bit of damage and a lot of the utility as well. Like you free up your big ships from tracking disruption and painting. So I would think that would be a kind of a high value thing to go for early. But
yep. So we've got about a minute left, a minute 30 to go. Is this Sacrilege going to go down, or is he able to just... He's MJDing. He's got his own MJD, and he's gone. He's jumped again. He's just staying alive. Oh, he's not. He's been tackled.
Yeah.
Oh, he got tackled.
Now he's scrammed. Caught finally by that Navy Harb.
Yeah.
Flown by Kelon Darklight.
Navy Harb with the scram, just cancelling his MJD.
Yeah, it's true. The Sacrilege is running a smart bomb. A little surprising he didn't work harder to get on top of the Devoter early in the match and clear those drones off.
Yeah, get those armor drones off of him.
It's definitely not. I think in these matches, smart bombs are more of an offensive weapon than a defensive one. You don't really care as much about clearing off a bit of light drones like that are on him now.
Yep.
But if you can get rep bots off the field, it's a really big deal. So I would have thought that would have been kind of an early priority for him.
Yeah, with the Sacrilege tackled now, he's going into structure. That was a really important catch from the Harbinger Navy issue, and there he goes.
Down he goes.
Going to Kelon Darklight's side. And with that, we'll pass you back to the desk.
Delicious spaghetti you eat while waiting for a prey to put its shiny paw into his career. So you always let jump, and let the booty hit the floor, and that is how the groove goes.
And the incredibly agile and quick to think Kelon Darklight moves ahead with one win, possibly infuriating the Ardish Sport team by bringing a Devoter. Certainly drawing a little bit of fire there, the Devoter early on. I really thought that Ardish Sport was doing fine, and then it all turned around. Sledge, what did you see there?
I think bringing the Devoter is it's quite a clever move. It's a bit of a red herring. It's we can get clear it. It doesn't it's not adding any utility to their fleet, but it's a really, really tough ship to crack. Heavy interdictors featuring Tech 2 resists, and yeah, I think they should have focused on ships that were actually putting out more damage first. Speaking of the Ardish Upper type team.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were probably shooting at the Devoter mainly because it was the only ship that was really within range. That Devoter was chasing down the Harb, and both teams were long-range fit, but Ardish Upper especially was intending to kite. I think they felt they had the range advantage with the Navy APOC versus the Geddon, so they decided to try to pull range, and it was the Devoter that was chasing them down. But great micro jump use by Kelon Darklight's team.
You mentioned it earlier. You mentioned him having an awareness of this format and being able to fly the comps and the ships that he had. That team really pulled it together.
Yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar with the way these micro jump units are actually laid out, there's one in the very middle of the arena, and then there's another 8 in a cube with 100-kilometer sides centered around the arena. So you can actually jump from one to the other around the outside and keep moving around, and you'll land right beside another one.
You have to be fairly secure in your ability to pilot before having the activation key.
Yeah. It is something that we've been using for a while, but we haven't seen a ton of use by players in the Alliance tournament. It's something people have generally been afraid to use because they usually mess up when they're doing it. I think the fact that this is a smaller format with smaller, more elite teams, rather than having to find 12 pilots, you can just bring your 4 best. And the fact that these teams aren't just from one alliance too, they're collected from all the people that are trying to represent these houses, means that these people can be a little bit more confident in their ability to jump accurately. And we saw that from the Navy Geddon there, was doing an amazing job of getting on top of his targets.
Really, really nice play. Hopefully more of that coming up in the third match of the second round of the Amarr Championships. We have bands in for that fight, and if I can make sure that I have my information correct, the bands coming in for the third round, or the third match are there on screen. The Damnation and the Sacrilege, also the Zealot and the Confessor. Zealot, an interesting choice there, getting that heavy assault cruiser. Of course, the Damnation, what we were expecting to see before, the Sacrilege and the Zealot, that's both heavy assault cruisers for Amarr. And of course, that Confessor, that Tech 3 destroyer that we've seen be so pivotal in so many fights. Talk about this Zealot choice.
I think banning the Zealot might be born of unwillingness to play any sort of kiting games. Zealot's been a heavy assault cruiser, got a bonus to their micro warp drive. Is it signature bloom?
Yep.
Signature bloom. So yeah, they doesn't increase the signature radius when it's as much as it would do on a normal ship when it's activated. So yeah, it lends itself very well to speed play. I think my gut says they don't want to fight anything too kitey, so get rid of the Zealot.
That definitely is the oddest of the bans. Damnation, Sacrilege, Confessor, I'd expect we're going to see those all pretty commonly banned. Zealot, though, yeah, it is a bit odd. It probably does suggest they're afraid of kiting. It might suggest that they're trying to bring a setup that relies heavily on their small ships. So perhaps maybe bringing an Inquisitor remote repair. Zealot's a very good ship for killing frigates and destroyers. Lots of range with lasers, the ability to get transversal down by moving your own ship with high speed. So that would be the kind of ship you'd be afraid of if you were bringing an Inquisitor. But I mean, that's just speculation. It's I think this is probably a question that the Corsair team is like trying to figure out themselves, right? Like.
Now, we did have discussion in the booth about smart bombs being used as an offensive as opposed to a defensive weapon, used to possibly take out rep drones, maybe not as much to take out the kind of light combat drones that we'd see in other tournament situations. Do you think we're going to see more smart bombing with these bands and the possible fleets that we're going to see created from the available ships?
I don't think it's going to be widespread, personally. I think you might have a ship from each team featuring a smart bomb that's on drone cleanup duty, but I don't think it's going to be terribly prevalent.
Yeah, I mean, I think having it is really valuable. Putting it on something like a Sacrilege or a Devoter, which actually I wouldn't be surprised if we see Devoters in this match because two of the other good cruiser options are out for your third pilot. That I think works well because it's fast enough to get on top of your targets and then clear off those rep bots.
Now, of course, this the first match of today where the Curse is a viable option.
Yeah.
Do we see the Curse take the field?
I mean, I wouldn't be entirely surprised. Seeing both the Damnation and the Sacrilege out means that two of your best missile options are completely out of the question. It's going to mean that there's more turrets in general on both sides, which makes the tracking disruptors of the Curse more valuable.
Of course, the Curse, probably the 4v4 Curse match last Sunday, one of the most impressive, I think. Certainly one of the more entertaining matches to watch.
For sure.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it on there, and I'd like to see two of them.
I'm a big fan of the Curse. I'd love for people to bring it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very possible we'd see it with at least one of these teams. I also think I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Prophecy, because that's not banned at all. We haven't seen any of them yet, but that is a ship that has a lot of flexibility. We talked about this a bit last week, and we haven't talked about it yet today, though. The ability to deal damage that isn't EM and thermal is pretty key. Yeah. It means that the other team has to respect your ability to do the kinetic and explosive damage and tank for that instead of just tanking EM and thermal. And with Sacrilege and Damnation out, that's two of the ships that you usually rely on to do that kind of off EM thermal damage.
Of course, newer players to EVE may or may not be familiar with damage types.
Yeah, so we've got four of them.
Amarr ships tend to fit lasers, and they tend to do primarily EM or electromagnetic and thermal damage, and of course that limits the things that you have to worry about if that's all you're facing. Opening up, having drones that can deal different types of damage, or having missiles which can deal different types of damage is of course a way around that. And with the ships that are available in this format after these bans, we may in fact see some of that.
Yep.
We are going to go to the boys in the booth and begin the third match. The last match of the first part of the first day of the second round of the Amarr Championships. It will be Corsair versus Sarum, and we will hear from CCP Claymore and CCP Rise.
Hey guys, welcome back. CCP Claymore here, joined by CCP Rise. Oh, we have Corsair versus Sarum, Lysus versus Mitara Newelle. Rise, why don't you run us through the setups we've got going on?
Yeah, so definitely there are curses. Getting that one right, CCP and Aquarian. One on each side. Even more tracking disruption on Lysus team side with a Sentinel. That's up against a Heretic as the smallest ship brought on the other end. And then both teams bringing a Navy Harbinger and a Navy APOC.
So we've got about 10 seconds to go. Which one do you think is going to play a key role here, the Heretic or the Sentinel?
I mean, I think the Sentinel, unless the Heretic can kill it.
Yep.
Definitely an important thing for the Heretic to be trying to do is kill that Sentinel so that it's not there for the whole match, providing even more cheap bonus tracking disruption.
The match is now underway. Both teams warped in about 30 with...
You can see immediately the Sentinel going the other direction. You can see him just peeling away from the fight there. Like, I'm out of here.
Tracking disruption being applied from both teams to the other team. With the curses, they get that bonus to tracking disruption. We expect that to play a big role in this fight. Couldn't see any weapons fit to them. Do we think their newts will come into play as well?
It's definitely possible if they can make it kind of into the late stages of the of the match, then the newts become really important, shutting down the battleships. I mean, all the weapons in this fight need cap to run, so if the curses are there later on, it's going to be a really big deal. But for now, it looks like both teams really want to focus on getting those curses off the field. So for the time being, they're going to be more focused on staying alive than on shutting down the opposing ships.
Yep, there is the Heretic. He's got missiles. He's not going to be relying on the cap as much.
No, but yeah, and the curses themselves don't need cap, at least to run their offense. But yeah, they're both like Lysus's curse is really far away from the fight. He's definitely not anywhere near close enough to newt something. He's just trying to stay in a position where they can't hit him, which is really smart. I think just having the curse around later is super, super important. So playing more defensively makes a lot of sense. And as a result, Lysus' curse not taking any more damage. Instead, Mitara's team forced to shoot the Harbinger, it looks like.
Yep, both teams choosing to go for the curse. Seems like the obvious choice with those tracking disruption, the possibility of newts. We just saw some newts being applied to the Navy Apocalypse on Lysus' team.
You can also see, I don't know, right now the graphics are small, but like up in the right corner there, you can see tracking computer animations running, and I assume it looks like at least the Harbinger and Apocalypse on the Lysus side, both running tracking computers. So there is some counter there for all the disruption, but still the bonus disruptors, and especially because there's more than one ship running them on Lysus' team, are going to be taking a really big effect here.
Yep, is the benefit of the tracking computers enough to really help them against that?
I mean, it helps. It definitely helps, but it's not enough to counter it. You're still going to be not doing as well offensively as you would be. And I mean, the tracking computer is actually really nice when there is no tracking disruption, because it means you can get really good range out of these ships and shoot across the whole arena or closer to it. But with the curses here, that's never going to be possible. And still a lot of damage, just slowly trading back and forth. Lysus' curse started taking damage again. Wow, and actually now the Navy APOC on Lysus' side is hurting pretty bad, actually. So it looks like Mitara's team managed to close distance and get some actual damage applied.
Yep, he has newts being applied to him, coming from... where's it coming from? Probably the
everything taking damage here. Sentinel taking big volleys now on the Lysus side. The Harbinger Navy issue on the Mitara side, about 2/3 armor. Sentinel hanging in there. You can see him repping back, but taking volleys, I assume, from that Heretic. Yep, you can see the missile volleys going into him. So see if he's able to handle that a while longer.
So Mitara's side, they've fielded some medium armor maintenance spots. And we've seen how important they've been. We can't see any coming over from Lysus' team. Could they've maybe just tried to take the Sentinel and the curse, shut down the guns, go pure damage? Yeah,
you're right. Lysus' team running all damage drones. Lots of ogres and hammerheads, hobgoblins. Surprisingly, they'd go thermal. Considering I was actually looking at losses from some of the last matches, is now the Heretic taking a whole bunch of damage. It's Heretic and Sentinel trading back and forth.
The Heretic's
if they can get the Heretic down to protect the Sentinel, it's a huge deal.
The Heretic's off on his own, next to the Harbinger Navy issue of Hoodie Mafia. Drones coming across, and he's down.
That's a big kill. Nice job for Lysus' team. That means it's going to be really hard for Mitara to deal with the Sentinel now, which means they're sort of on the back foot in terms of the disruption war for the rest of the match.
Yeah.
That said, surprisingly, the Navy Harbinger on the Mitara side doesn't have any tracking disruptors applied to it for some reason, which is a little weird because there should be plenty of them to go around to just split between the Navy Harb and the APOC, but for some reason they are not actually applying any tracking disruptors whatsoever to that Harb. Yeah, maybe he's capped out and isn't shooting anyway, I'm not sure. No, his guns are active.
With the curse from Elizabeth not having any weapons, they don't need to apply any tracking disruptors there. Just to the Harbinger Navy issue and the Apocalypse Navy issue. But we can still see damage coming across in the Sentinel. Quite a big chunk of damage now.
Yeah, he's way out there at range, but actually this Navy Harbinger is shooting at him, and there's no tracking disruption on him, so he's actually able to hit just fine. 2 more volleys might be all it takes.
Of course, the Navy Harbinger getting the bonus to tracking, big bonus to tracking, so yeah, he can really hit that Sentinel.
I mean, they're so far apart that if he was, Sentinel repping back a whole bunch now.
Yeah, he's just pulled a bunch of range away, he's just repped himself back in. Up to full armor now.
If they had just had some range disruption on the Harp, you can see here the beam's active. If they just had some range disruption on him, he wouldn't be able to shoot the Sentinel at all, but instead he almost killed it. Really kind of pushing their luck a bit here, this Lysus team. And now their Harbinger starting to hurt pretty bad, actually. He's at about half armor. So somehow, even though they have all of this disruption, this APOC and Navy Harbinger are getting a lot of work done on the Mitara and Newelle team.
Yep, we can see some smart bombs. There's smart bombs coming from our Persia. Trying to clear off those drones. As we said, it's going to be really important take off a little bit of extra damage, because it doesn't seem like the Lysus team have fielded any maintenance spots. They've just gone full damage. Although,
once again, Sentinel taking a whole bunch of damage from this Navy Harp, but now the Navy Harp has tracking disruption on it. We'll see how much of a difference that makes. Finally getting that applied there. Sentinel smoking. He's like really, really close to going down, but it looks like damage has stopped again. So
he's past halfway through his structure. He's burnt off again. He's repping back up.
For some reason, Lysus' team having a really hard time getting any meaningful damage applied here. You can see their whole team hasn't really taken anything at all. They're just fine for some reason. This Mitara Newelle team. Wow, Sentinel almost down again.
Yeah, all of Lysus' team seem to be getting through some armor.
Arzia and this Harbinger is doing a great job putting pressure on the Sentinel. I can't believe he's able to get away with that, but it's really consistent. Every time the Sentinel comes back to being close to the fight, he gets forced out again by the Navy Harp. So
yeah, so we said the bonus, the Navy Harbinger gets a huge bonus to its tracking. Is it enough where the tracking disruptors just aren't? At this range, it's just not enough to it
might be hard for them to keep him from tracking, but they should be able to keep his range very low.
Yeah.
And it's not like anything's tackled here, so the Sentinel should be able to be well out of range. I mean, the range on beams, I mean, with the longest range ammo, you can shoot pretty far, and maybe it'd be hard to keep him from hitting you at all, but you should be able to at least get the damage really low by forcing him into really long range ammo. And apparently that's not working. And now the Lysus Navy Harb is actually down to like half armor. They're finally trading some damage back. The APOC on the Mitara Newelle side going pretty low as well, but he's repping just fine.
He's repping through it. See damage coming in the curse now. They seem to have their damage split across everything. Is this just because the ships are pulling range, trying to get out of the ship at the other opponent's optimal, or are they not calling their targets properly, potentially?
No, I think in a match like this, where there's tons of E-War on the field, and especially when the ships aren't especially fast, you really don't have a lot of choices about targets. You kind of have to shoot the thing you can hit. So it's probably some credit to the Lysus team for making sure that they don't get a target they want for long enough to bring it down. They're sort of going in and out, or at least switching their disruption up so they have to change targets. But no, I definitely don't think it's any kind of mistaken target calling. I think they're just struggling to find out where they can actually put damage on something.
Yeah, we've seen the curse of Lysus now. He's pulled range. He was getting low in armor. He's pulled range. He's going to rep up and probably come back in, try and help out.
Oh, another big volley into the Sentinel.
Oh, this Sentinel.
Hey, he went down. Huge kill for the Mitara team for two reasons. One, takes out a whole bunch of the tracking disruption for them, which is awesome. Two, evens up the points. We only had 1:30 left in this match, and if we went to time there, obviously Lysus' team would have won having the one kill, but now we're back to even, so that's a really, really big kill for Mitara Newelle. Great job to them. I don't know why they were able to do that, but really, really good.
We think we're going to have time in standard time, for one of these ships to go down, or we're going to see some overtime coming into play?
Overtime is looking likely, for sure. It's going to be hard for them to bring something down in the time they have left. But it's not a match where something won't die. None of none of the ships in this match really run long-term because of cap. They're probably relying on cap boosters. They're also running reps that have things like paste in them, and all of that stuff will start running out of ammo. They'll basically, and especially with the curses there, they'll end up having a really hard time keeping their tank running. And I assume after that there'll be some deaths, unless I guess their guns can't shoot, and then maybe not. But
we've got about 30 seconds left to go. I'm not sure if the boys in the booth explained overtime. We're going to have 5 minutes of overtime, and it'll be the same 5 minutes of overtime. If one team manages to kill it, won't be sudden death. They'll get their full 5 minutes. If one team manages to kill another ship, we'll still be going to points. After that, I'm actually not entirely sure how we're deciding it.
I believe there's a tiebreaker based on potential damage output.
Okay.
That's what we were doing last week anyway. If it's still tied after that 5 minutes, we take we look at the start of the match and look at kind of the on-paper DPS potential for each team, and the one with the biggest wins the match. So.
Yeah, with super similar teams, that could be an interesting...
yeah, it's probably pretty close here.
It could be really interesting.
Maybe the Heretic pushes Mitara Newelle's team over the edge.
So we're going into overtime here now with...
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Both the Apocalypse Navy and the Harbinger Navy taking some armor damage at the moment.
Yeah, the Navy Harb on the Lysus side is hurting pretty bad. That's the lowest armor I think anything's been in this match other than the two support ships, is where this Navy Harb is now, flown by Hoodie Mafia. He's got like 20% armor left.
That curse is just, he's neuting. Do you think he's managed to Newt him out, maybe turn off some hardeners, because the damage has just been coming in.
Yeah, it looks really likely. He's hurting really bad. I don't think he's going to be able to pull it back now. He's going into structure. Wow, huge turnaround for Mitara and Newelle, getting control of this match. They looked like they were struggling for a lot of it, not being able to deal with the Sentinel. But yeah, they're going to take out this Navy Harb. Here he goes.
So we've got 4.5 minutes remaining as the Navy Harbinger goes down.
Yeah.
Looks like that Curse's Newt's played a really big part in this. Catching up with him, applying so much pressure. Obviously, the guns from the Navy Harbinger relying on the capacitor. The neutralizers from the Curse basically just they take capacitor from the Harbinger, so it just turns off his guns. Could potentially have turned off his tank, turned off his prop mod, turned off his if he's got a non-ancillary armor repairer, could have turned that off as well. We see the Curse now as well dropping.
Yeah, now they're doing pretty good. Mitara and Newelle's team, they look real comfortable applying damage now. They've probably it's weird there's no newts going anywhere. I'm surprised the Mitara and Newelle Curse isn't trying to neutralize this Curse as they take it out, but yeah, I mean, a lot of this probably comes down to fitting as well. Like maybe Mitara and Newelle team was set up better to go long, like did better with cap or kind of had more repping power over the course of the fight. But anyway, they're looking really comfortable now. They're about to take out this Curse.
Yep. This Curse going really low now.
And like we said, we'll go this full 5 minutes. There's probably about, 3 or 4 left. I'll let you know when we see in local. 2 minutes remaining now.
2 minutes of overtime. With Mitara and Newelle's team managed to pick up those extra points, if we see out those remaining 2 minutes, they're going to win on points.
Yeah. And I think at this point they're definitely just going to be winning. I don't think there's a lot Lysus can do now. Man, what a stressful match to be that Sentinel pilot. Spent the whole match just trying to hang in an armor, and then going down is what sort of turns it, and it actually ends up turning it into a loss, even though they were ahead for basically 9 minutes.
Some great piloting while managing to get his range, get repaired up, dive back in, try and maybe apply some newts, get some tracking disruption going on, but yeah, eventually just the tracking on that Navy Harbinger just taking him down.
Yep. Good stuff, and now damage has stopped on the Curse. It's even with these Navy APOCs that shoot across basically the whole arena. Clearly, there's room for people to avoid a lot of damage, as we've seen over this match. Just damage come in really fast and then just suddenly disappear as people manage to get range or manage to get tracking disruptors applied. And so yeah, Lysus able to stay alive somehow now, even though he was really, really low. You can see his shields regen back, but they're gonna maybe have time to take out the Navy APOC. Actually, he's headed down into low armor now.
They switched over to him, but he's just holding on in there. He fell really quickly through his armor. He's just as he pulled range as well.
He's still got 3 rep bots on him, and he's actually still able to run his local rep as well. It doesn't look like he's shooting. He's probably wanting to save all his cap to run those reps so they can save the ship. Of course, this is on TQ, and these guys do have to buy these ships, and given the choice, you'd probably hang on to that APOC, I think. So that's probably what he's going for now, since the match is basically foregone.
We now see Lysus' Curse going about half structure.
Yeah, they managed to catch up to him again, so maybe that Curse will go down.
Managed to catch him, managed to get some damage coming in on him. We must have about 1 minute left, maybe, of overtime here.
It's so funny how the damage is just coming and going like this. Like they managed to get him down to half structure, and then again, damage turns off. He's still running tracking disruption and everything, so he's probably just able to pull range.
Yeah,
that's why the damage
just manages to get range.
And we do have confirm and local 1 minute now.
1 minute remaining. This Curse just holding on. Although Lysus' side are going to have to get in. They have to try and kill something if they want to take this match. At the moment,
there's no way.
It's not looking likely. Yep.
Do you think people let Curses in after this, or do we see them banned for the rest of the day?
It's super interesting. I mean, they are really powerful, but it depends what fleet you want to bring. Mm-hmm. You might not worry about them. Maybe you bring full missile ships. So actually, the tracking disruption's not an issue. So you let Curses through, but then the other team might ban them out because they don't want you to have.
So that's match. Time up. Congratulations, Mitara and Newelle. Really well played. Really interesting long match there. And we'll go back and see what the guys at the desk think about it.
status has been lowered.
Curator is primary. Shut, you're so retarded. Curator is primary. Curator is primary.
And Corazor unable to hold on to an early lead over House Sarum. Mitara Newelle leading that team to a victory, taking out a Sentinel and then a Harbinger.
Yeah. It was really interesting to watch that match. It was all about positioning. We had a lot of ships that were quite fast. They were moving around with micro-warp drives that were using the field to their advantage. Of course, with only 4 people in such a large field, there's a lot of room to maneuver. So if you were just looking at the bars, it'd be easy to kind of wonder why the damage was dropping in and out, but it was because these ships were getting really far away from each other and then getting caught up to as they reached edges of arenas and couldn't keep going in that same direction.
Now, we talked earlier about the strength of the kiting game. There we have it in effect. That match not only going to time, but going into overtime and lasting almost the full 5 minutes, almost going to a decider. Had the House of Sarum not taken that second kill, we would have gone to, as CCP Rise pointed out, a damage differential.
Yeah, it's whoever had the most potential damage at the beginning of the match, which I believe would have been Mitara's team in that case, the Sarum team. So they ended up winning anyways by getting the kill on the Harb.
House Sarum obviously tracking there for the long game and possibly having a even further long outlook for the rest of the tournament. We'll see as we progress into the second block of matches, which will commence after a break. The break only going to be the length of a normal match, and we will begin that as soon as possible in order to give our gentlemen in the booth there a chance to break up and have a bit of a rest. As we leave you, we are going to return the stream here to the AmCam. However, we're also going to possibly show a video that was taken earlier, an interview between myself and CCP Savior, also a QA graphic analyst here in the EVE development team. Hopefully that is bearable. So, we will leave you for the break with this interview with CCP Savior, and we will see you again for the second block of matches, which are due to commence at 16:20 EVE time. Hello, I'm CCP Antiquarian, and I'm joined by CCP Savior. Savior, great to have you with us.
That's a pleasure to be here, Antiquarian.
Now, for our viewers at home, would you please tell them what team you work on and what kind of work you do?
I work on Team Tri-Lambda and I'm a graphics QA.
Graphics QA. Yeah. Now, what exactly does that entail for our home viewers, please?
So pretty much this, the artists will create new ships or new effects, and as a QA, we act as the gatekeepers for these items. So what we'll do is take new ships and effects from the artists, publish them and test them and get them into the hands of our players.
There has been a push from within Tri-Lambda to renovate a number of the effects in EVE. Can you talk about your role in that process?
Yeah, working directly with the VFX artist. He's been working incredibly hard on bringing some of the new effects and renovating some of the older ones. So I've helped facilitate the kind of publishing and testing of those new effects. You would have seen some of them come out in August with the Warp Scrambler. So that was some of the things that we'd worked on, some of the E-War effects that are directed at target ships.
And there are some more coming soon?
Very much so, yes. We've got some coming out in our Christmas release, Acheron, I believe it's called. And I'm just going through the testing of those now, but they're looking really good. Some of the status webs are being updated, and a lot of the smart bombs as well have got new effects, so should be good.
Now, it's not only visual effects that you work on, but also the assets in the game, ships and structures. Of course, a number of great developments coming in that area, structures in the Citadel's release next year. But ships are getting a little bit of attention with the upcoming winter release. Can you talk about that?
Very much so. The QA guys and myself, because there's a few of us in Tri-Lambda.
Really?
Yes, there are. I believe you know a few of them. Yes. We've recently republished all of the ships because we've had new visual tweaks added to them in the form of new boosters, some new kill marks that are coming to the ships, and V5 decals. So this is using the PBR shader that was updated earlier in the year.
PBR was a really big project for Tri-Lambda. Did you have any role in that?
Yeah, very much so. When I started with CCP, we just started the big push for updating the ships with the new shader, and we finished that off in the middle of the year. So myself and a few of the other QAs rolled through all the ships, republishing them all and visually testing them all as well. And we're really happy with the results that came out of that.
I feel obligated to ask, do you have a favorite ship in EVE?
I like flying Caldari ships, so the Drake and the Moa they're my favourite. I like the shape of them and the hard edge stuff about them.
Drake?
Yeah, there's something about it, that ship. I really like it. Yeah, and firing missiles is always fun. So
it's a shingle.
Don't be hating.
I'm not hating. I love all the ships in EVE, sir. That's the right answer.
So you don't have a favourite then?
Indeed. I don't. That's horrible. Now, the structures that are coming out next spring, have you been working with the team on those?
Yeah, very much so. We've started to see early versions of them appearing, and we've been able to put them into a test server here or there that isn't public facing, but it's allowed us to get an idea of size and scale, because these things are going to be pretty big.
Now, as a QA, are you involved in the concept and early development?
We'll be present during a few of the early discussions to do with testing and how this actually will affect the players, stuff like that. But when it comes down to the actual artistic look and design, that'll come down to the actual concept artists, the modelers, and our art director.
With regard to the structures and the ships, can you tell me a little bit about how you approach testing assets for EVE?
Well, because QAing ships has been going on for a while now, especially with publishing and testing wise, we have a series of regression scripts. This allows us to go through a checklist of how a ship should perform and act in the actual universe. So we'll work our way through those lists, make sure that the ship's functional.
You do that for every ship?
Yeah.
How long does that take?
That can take quite some time, which especially when we roll through new updates like the kill marks and the boosters, we have to work our way through every single ship in EVE. It can take one single person a very long time. So luckily, our team's made up of multiple QA, so we can spread that work out a bit more.
And for testing larger structures, like the ones that are coming out in Citadels, is that different from testing the ships?
I mean, there are similar aspects to ships and the structures, because you are looking at the actual geometry of the structure, the textures, the functionality of it, whether you can dock or not. Same with the ship, whether you can assemble it or board it or not. So there is a lot of crossover between the two. But with these new structures, they're going to require a bit of extra love due to the size and scale of them. Because obviously, if you're going to be able to dock Titans in there, you've also got to make sure that the textures look as crisp as possible, because you're going to be looking at the finer details there when you're zoomed in real close on that structure.
The tournament that's going on right now, have you been paying attention?
I have. I've been watching it, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's really good.
What do you think so far?
I'm really impressed by the guys that are coming out and playing. There's a few that I've been keeping my eye on, and really impressed. I've been told not to name drop too much, though.
All right. In terms of player names, no, but how about the houses themselves? Do you have a preferred house?
My preferred house is House Sarum, so I'll be hoping that Merrim of Sarum will lead the charge and take over the Amarr Empire.
Sent to the throne.
Well, yeah.
More Sarum, 4 more years.
Yeah. Hey, stick to what you know.
I do have a question here from another member of the QA team. Why are you the worst at pool?
I spend a lot more time doing my job, and a lot of the others actually spend their time around the pool table, which is why a lot of the art assets actually take a long time to be QA'd, because it's a one-man job at the moment.
It's interesting. No one that I spoke to with regard to your work performance mentioned you doing your job, only your terrible, terrible pool skills.
I mean, it's a reputation and it's a terrible thing to have thrown at me as being terrible at pool, but I mean, if I spent more time at the pool table, maybe I'd get better. But I'm trying to focus really hard on my QA at the moment. So I really want to become a really good tester of 3D art assets.
You keep that up, maybe it'll happen.
One day. We can only hope.
Thanks for being with us, CCP Savior.
Thank you very much.
And now, back to the studio. We're here with CCP Iterbium, to talk a little bit about the structure changes that are coming in the spring expansion. Eterbium, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing today?
Well, it's a usual day in the office, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the structures that are coming forth in the new expansion in spring.
Yes, so in spring we are releasing a set of 3 new structures which we call citadels, and I will be very brief with the details here since we have a lot of blogs already came out during the past months, but they mainly focus on housing and defense, and it is important to remember those are going to be the initial batch of structures that are going to come out.
The ones that you're introducing, are they all the Citadel class structure?
Yes, we have 3 sizes for now. We have M, L, and XL. M focusing on replacing the star bases we have right now with the control tower and the secondary structures. The L1 and kind of the XL are trying to replace outposts as they are in the game right now, and they will be available with suite of various modules and various services.
Now, when you guys release the structures, it's not like pauses and outposts are just going to vanish, right?
No. We have a replacement program, and that's something we already talked about a little bit during the previous Fanfest. We want to replace those progressively, so we're not going to take your structures away in one swoop move and leave you just dry in the water. No, we want first to make sure we have feature parity. So that means, for example, if you take into account what we have with starbases right now with, for example, manufacturing arrays or laboratories, we want to make sure we have the same level of gameplay and functionality with the new structures, and even go beyond that, because that's the whole point of having those new structures in the game before we start taking stuff away.
So these structures will fit different modules based on the intent or the purpose of the people who own them?
Yes.
What types of modules are you introducing in the Citadel's expansion?
Okay, so one of the goals we wanted to have with the structure system is to make it as familiar and as flexible as possible with other stuff in the game, and one of the most interesting parts of the gameplay we have right now is tied to ship fitting, and we wanted to follow that philosophy. So instead of having, for example, a starbase with a control tower and a bunch of secondary structures all over the place that you have to manually anchor one after the other, which can be pretty much nightmarish for the user to use, we wanted to just follow the same philosophy with ships, having fittings and a high slot, medium slot, low slots, and rigs. And to add another layer, we wanted what we call service modules. So those slots in more detail, high slots are going to be mainly for defense regarding guns, regarding launchers, or regarding remote support, like you would have with a normal ship, like remote assistance, potentially some targeted version of the ganglics later in the future. Then you have medium slots. Those are more tailored towards ECM, electronic warfare in general, like boosting other people as well with, for example, remote tracking computer, this kind of stuff. And then you have low slot, which is your usual passive goodies. You may have like ballistic system to improve your missile efficiency and this kind of stuff. So now we get into the interesting part, the cherry on top of the cake, which is the service model and the rig layout. So far, what I've told you, with high, mid, and low, you can already get this kind of stuff on your traditional ships. And it's a bit lame just to have this on 150 kilometer wide structure, we want to give you more. So the service models are going to give you station capability, station activities like manufacturing, research, or even market, offices, customs office in the long term. All of these kind of services you could get. And rigs are going to be there to give you bonuses on those activities. So for example, the rigs can also give you bonuses on the weapons you fit in the high slot. They are very flexible in what they do. So for example, if I take the example of a citadel, if you have a citadel with a market activity fitted in the service model, and you want to pay less taxes to the NPC, well, you are going to fit a rig in that proper slot, the rig is going to be the most expensive part apart from the hull, and that's going to give you an edge next to the other structures by decreasing the cost, and so on. Like, you have many examples. Also, you could make the structure stronger defense-wise. Like, you have like wide variety of choice when it comes to this.
Are these rigs and modules going to come in Tech 1 and Tech 2 variants, just like modules for ships?
Yeah, and even the hulls. Like, later on, like when you have plans for them. I'm not promising anything right now. But we want to start with Tech 1 hulls, and that's why they are going to be built, as we mentioned in the previous blog, with like existing Tech 1 materials, minerals, and PI components. Same with the models. The rigs, however, are going to come into Tech 1 and Tech 2 variations.
No Tech 3s?
No, Tech 3 have subsystems. Like, you just can't have that.
Modular stations? Modular structures? Come on.
Yeah, like I think the art department will freak out, and so will I. Like,
CCP Ytterbium, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And before we let you go, do you have a preferred house in the Amarr Championships?
Well, I will usually say I just don't favor anyone because I don't support slavery, except if you are working in my team. But I will go for Khanid because I have sexy black ships.
Khanid and
Yes.
Garka Khanid, of course, their chosen heir, who will possibly ascend to the throne if your team has its way.
Better. Like, I don't like to be wrong.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks.
And we're back for the second block of matches here in the second round of the Amarr Championships. Here at the desk for this round, CCP Rise and CCP Claymore joining us from the booth. Gentlemen.
Hi. Hello.
How was it commentating on those matches?
Awesome. There were some really good matches there. The last one that just went into the overtime took up the full 5 minutes. Really interesting. Had a lot of fun.
Rise?
Yeah, they were great.
Thank you, Rise.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. CCP Claymore, while I have you here, I wanted to say a special thank you. We have had some requests in the stream and from people via Twitter asking for a little bit more elucidation about what is going on with certain ships, what it means to turn off someone's guns or to turn off their rep. Of course, you provided quite a lot of that commentary from the booth. Excellent work.
Just making sure people know what's going on, you know.
Everybody likes to know what's going on.
Always,
CCP Rise,
always.
do you know what's going on?
Yeah, I do.
What's going on?
The Amarr Championships is going on.
Amazingly correct. The Amarr Championships continues here in the second block of the second round. Up next, Ardeshapur versus Khanid, followed by Kador versus Sarum, followed by Korazor versus Tashmarkan. Now, these matches are interesting in that each one of them features a winner from the previous round and a loser from the previous round. Of course, Khanid having come out on top, that team headed by Damassys Kadesh will be facing up against Ardeshapur's SoulLess Zealot in this first round. What do we expect to see?
I expect to see curses banned again. I think both those teams had curse bans in their first matches, and I think we saw last match that it's a really powerful ship, so I expect to see that come back. Do you know? Do you try and find out?
I believe we can bring the bans for the next match
that'd be
up
really
on the
good to see.
screen. Of course, the global bans, as reported earlier, are still in effect. That, the Absolution, the Armageddon, the Augur, the Guardian, the Legion, and the Purifier. And in this match specifically, the Prophecy, the Damnation, the Curse, and the Pilgrim. Of course, the Damnation proving itself to be very popular in these round-specific bans. Not very surprising to see the Curse pop up there. What do you think is the philosophy behind banning the Prophecy and the Pilgrim?
So the Prophecy, it's a really good utility ship. It gets its bonus to its drones and it can tank a lot. So the high slots, you can go newts, you can take it with some missiles, you can go smart bombs. You can also, I think you can get some links on there. It's just a super utility ship all across the board.
And the Pilgrim?
I mean, it's the same thinking as the Curse. It's more tracking disruption bonuses and more neutralization, all things that are really bad to be against. It's kind of like, I guess people are banning the things that are the strongest, but it's with so few ships in the format, I'm a bit surprised. I don't know. Like, you can always bring it too, so it's kind of, I guess people are saying they'd rather play a game where it was more about just shooting each other than about having a whole bunch of the disruption ships, which is a bit surprising. I mean, I could see people wanting to go either way.
Well, we'll see which way they go in this match. We'll go to the boys in the booth, CCP Fozzy and CCP Larrikin, for commentary on this match, House Ardeshapur versus House Khanid.
Welcome back, everyone. This is CSP Fozzie, joined by CSP Larrikin, and we've got our next match here. This is SoulLess Zealot for Ardeshapur and Damassys Kadesh for Canad. Two really great, very similar setups with a couple key differences. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these setups?
Absolutely. So Team Ardeshapur has a Devoter, a Heretic, and a Harbinger and Apocalypse, both of them Navy issue, while Canad is bringing Confessor, Sacrilege, and again the Apocalypse and Harbinger Navy issues.
Yeah, across the board, all of these ships using long-range weaponry, except for the battleships, which use impulses, because you don't need to use beams on a Navy APOC in this arena. So the match is about to start. We have the Devoter from Team Ardeshapur right in at 0, but all the rest of the team members are all at 50 kilometers away. So they're going to try to kite around, use their mobility, use the range to their advantage. So we're going to see probably something in a lot of ways similar to what we would have saw in the last match if there wasn't as much tracking disruption. That Heretic dropping so fast. Wow.
And gone, just
amazing,
deleted
already
off
off the field. This is one of the reasons I'm not as big of a fan of the Heretic versus Confessor. I think you were mentioning that to me a bit before.
Yeah, we were talking about it just before. The Heretic can apply damage at longer ranges, but it is considerably softer than a Confessor in defensive mode.
Yeah, I mean, so SoulLess Zealot's team is trying to take down Navy Harb. If they can do that, they'll be in decent shape, but they're going to probably lose theirs at the same rate.
I think so.
We're seeing a tracking disruptor applied to the SoulLess Zealot Navy Apocalypse. That's pretty key. We're not seeing any disruption across to the Canad team. That Painter is going to help, and that tracking disruptor is huge.
Well, that Heretic has that Devoter has dived in there trying to get heavy tackle. So far, it hasn't been super successful. He's getting in nice and close there, but he hasn't got any serious tackle on them. No webs, no scrams coming from him.
Yeah, he's
we are
chasing.
seeing some web drones being dropped, though. That's a little bit unusual.
We're also seeing some Tech 1 armor maintenance bots following around, keeping Damassys Kadesh's Navy Harb alive. I think this tracking disruptor is what's making the Canad team tank so much better. The SoulLess Zealot APOC is just not able to hit things. While
I was really dubious, though. Like, unscripted tracking disruptor, how effective is that? He's got heaps of range there, but the unscripted does mean that he's not just affecting...
Enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's enough.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, I'm a much bigger fan, I think, of Damassys Kadesh's team. The Sacrilege versus the Devoter. Sacrilege gives you that ability to do off-EM thermal damage.
Yeah.
And then the Confessor over the Heretic, I think, a really good choice. And good on them for not taking the bait of that Devoter, too. The Devoter came in at 0. They could have just all piled in on it, but they decided not to.
I don't know if I like this Devoter setup at all, actually. I mean, he's going in there, he's put the web drones, which got on the Navy Harbinger, although I'm not sure that maybe was the best choice there, but we'll see.
About to drop. There we go. He's about to go off the field, but the Navy Harb for SoulLess Zealot
is about to go into structure.
What's really going to be interesting to see is whether that drops any of the tracking disruption. Nope. There's still just as much tracking disruption. That means that Confessor was not being reliant. It's quite possible that SoulLess Zealot's team was relying entirely on the Heretic for their disruption. And with it gone, they don't have any. But Damassys Kadesh obviously has it more spread out because they've got tracking disruption on both of the gunships and a target painter all on those last 3 ships.
I am curious if they actually have multiple tracking disruptors. I mean, all their tanks sitting in the armor, why not? Why not stack as much on there as you can?
Well, they've got at least 2 because they're spread across 2 ships.
Yeah.
The control bar, you can see it's at the bottom there, that little green bar is nearly full for Damassys Kadesh. It means they're taking full advantage of their E-War.
Looks like they just dropped one off the Harbinger to put it on the Apocalypse. Probably assuming the Harbinger is about to drop, but he's hanging in there with the sliver of armor.
So the SoulLess Zealot Ardeshapur team is now trying to take down the Sacrilege. I think that's a fine primary choice at this point. Again, keep in mind, these ships are all quite mobile. They're all moving around the field at a good clip. That Sacrilege is MWDing around at 600 meters a second. The Devoter is going 1,100 meters a second. These ships are all pretty mobile. Even the battleships are using MWDs. And that means that they're able to really reduce this damage. That Sacrilege is still taking damage, and he is dropping faster than the Harbinger. If the SoulLess Zealot team can take down that Sacrilege, and he's got a web. They've got a web on the Sacrilege, probably from the Devoter.
I would suspect from the Devoter, maybe even from those drones.
Actually, do you know what? It is, I think, from the drones, because the Devoter isn't... Well, no, actually, he's getting in pretty close there. But they're shooting the drones. So now, actually, the Canad team is shooting down these web drones, and that, I think, is a good choice. There we go.
There was 2 heavy drones there. The second one just dropped. I mean, that's a great... It looks like that Devoter doesn't have his own web. Is that really what's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, he's close, but he's just not able to hold down the Sacrilege. And the Sacrilege is a faster ship in this format.
Yeah.
So,
and has the advantage of the MWD bonus, which makes it even harder to hit.
But the Sacrilege is still going down. He's tanking bits and pieces. He's got these rep drones on him. We saw this cannon team bringing mostly rep drones, while the Artispur team is bringing damage and web drones.
Yeah.
It's an interesting choice. We've been seeing probably more use of rep drones than anything else in this tournament so far. Interestingly, it's Tech 1 rep drones, so they're not able to get the really highest quality. But that's Sacrilege.
Helping.
All right, now he's scrammed in web, so it looks like
go.
they do have just the Devoter wasn't close enough before. So now the Devoter.
But they're not exactly known for their speed Devoters.
So the Devoter did get tackle, and that Sacrilege is going to go down, but the Harb is going to go down first, I think.
Well, the Harbinger just MJD'd, so maybe it won't go down. I mean, I guess eventually probably, but he's holding in there. He just MJD'd.
Yep, he is all the way
9%
across
structure.
the field.
I don't think it was enough. I don't think he got out of
the Navy APOC that is not being tracking disrupted. There you go.
Yeah.
Able to hit with Scorch across most of this field, of course. That is, I think, one of the big reasons why people are bringing these Navy APOCs. It's really hard to avoid the damage. The tracking bonus, the range bonus, the great range bonus provided by Scorch ammo on these lasers. For anyone that's not familiar with it, Tech 2 lasers, short-range lasers, pulse lasers, have the ability to use a special type of ammo called Scorch, which gives you lower tracking but much longer range. So when your opponent gets really far away, you can switch to the ammo type instantly, because lasers switch ammo instantly, and start dealing damage really effectively.
And when they're at long range, the tracking is a lot less important because their accurate traversal is lower.
So really great lead right now for Damassys Kadesh's cannon team. Of course, they already won one match earlier today.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in really great position. If they win this match, that'll mean they would be up 2-0, and Artispur would be down 0-2. This is a really bad position to be in. And there we go. That Sacrilege finally completely dropped.
But I think I think they're still in a really solid position here. I'm not too worried. I mean,
the Navy APOC being in half armor, I think, is really key.
Basically.
The Sacrilege survived long enough, basically, to allow half a Navy APOC to die. And we're going to see how well he can rep, but probably not still well enough to take out to handle the damage from a Harb Navy and a Navy APOC.
Which
the
you
Harb
should be
Navy is
applying
dropping
pretty well.
quite quickly here. This Harbinger Navy issue, flown by Damassys Kadesh, the captain for the Canada team, is already down to just above half armor. That's going to be a race now to see which one dies first, this Apocalypse Navy or the Harbinger Navy issue.
I mean, I guess that Devoter's in there. He's got Web Scram sitting on the Harbinger Navy issue. He's applying his own full damage, probably with pulses, maybe even going to high damage Tech 2 ammo.
Yep. Yeah, and we're seeing, we do see some more web drones on the field. This Navy Harb is webbed by web drones, and that is keeping, this is a very interesting choice, not something we see all that often.
No, not at all.
This is really just a race now. If this, whichever one of these two ships dies first, the Navy Harb and the Navy Apocalypse, is going to take a lot of the damage off the field. I think it's probably, it's definitely a worse thing to lose the Navy Apocalypse or SoulLess Zealot, but if they can kill that Navy Harb, then they might be able to get in this good snowball position.
Well, it just could be enough for the Apocalypse to actually tank the other Apocalypse Navy issue. So that might just be enough. That might be all they need.
So they're both in very low armor now. They're going to be entering structure. This is
it's neck and neck. It's
right.
3% armor by 4% armor. It's so close.
Keep in mind the rep drones for the Canada team. You can't use rep drones on yourself. So once you're down to one ship, rep drones mean nothing anymore.
Yeah.
So that is really going to hurt them once they're down to one ship. Both ships are moving down through structure. We have 2 minutes left.
This is so close.
We are going to see.
Goodness.
So, all right. Now, I think the fact that the Navy APOC is going down, at least in lockstep, means that even if the Navy Harb dies first, it's going to be only by a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
So actually, this is still a very strong position.
I can't see the Navy APOC surviving.
So
he's gone.
These are both going to die within a couple seconds of each other, and we're going to be left with the Devoter versus the Navy APOC.
The Harbinger went down, but the APOC was only about 10 seconds behind it. Apocalypse versus Devoter. I mean, I love my Devoters.
A couple things to note here. This Devoter can get right in close underneath the tracking. That's going to be a very key tactic.
Can you really get, realistically, can a Devoter get underneath the tracking
of a Navy APOC? The Navy APOC is currently micro-jumping. He is going to try to get range to prevent that so he can try. But we saw this Devoter had a scrambler before. There we go. Scramble on the Navy APOC.
Stopping that.
That micro-jump did not go off. he is still locked in place. He can't escape. All right, so this is what we're going to see how well the Devoter can tank. He does have a active rep. We can see the defense bar at the top of those 3 bars right beneath the names of the team captains. You see the little bit on the end of the defense bar for SoulLess Zealot's team. That means an active rep. So we do have an active rep.
And we don't see that.
And we don't have one on Damassys.
Just a fat, big buffer tank.
Unlike the Alliance tournament, these ships don't have different point values. It isn't in the Alliance tournament. A Navy APOC would be more points than the Devoter, so when we run out of time in 45 seconds, it would have been a win for Canada. However, these ships have the same point value of 1 or 25 in the Amarr Championship. That means we are going to go into overtime, and it's going to be a 1v1 Devoter versus Navy Apocalypse 5 minutes in, and we're going to see what they can do. I think this one actually this. Yeah, this is going to be a real challenge for this Navy APOC to get the transversal low enough to hit, I think. We're seeing...
This is so close. I mean, you can see some of his shots clearly landing, but a whole bunch others missing. I don't know which way this is going to go. I mean, the longer this goes, the better the advantage the Devoter has, obviously, because he's got an active rep, and it looks like he's doing all right for himself, hanging in about 70% armor there.
Yeah, he's...
dropping down,
he can
gaining
just wear
50%.
him down ever so slowly. Actually, one thing that does really hurt the Artish Pro team right now is the fact that this Devoter doesn't have any damage drones. He just has web drones. So we have 2 web drones out for this Devoter. Meanwhile, there's a set of light combat drones, Hornet 1s, deployed by the Apocalypse Navy issue of Repic.
Which is good. It gets off base damage, which is fantastic. But I don't think it's enough. I don't think he's really breaking 66% armor.
He's going down slowly, but so is the Navy APOC. It is. I think we're going to probably go well into this overtime period.
I would think so. Yeah.
But I think the Navy APOC has the advantage right now. But it's the minute bits of piloting. If, for instance, the Devoter changes direction in his orbit a little bit and maybe slows down, loses some of that transversal, it's going to really hurt him. He needs to be able to keep this going. He also needs to keep his scram going, which is going to be eating up a little bit of cap. Because if he doesn't do that, then
is the thing cap
APOC
stable, or is he going to run out of charges or have to go into a reload?
Both ships have to worry about that, of course. The Devoter probably a bit more because he's going to be using a local rep as well as his guns, while the APOC is just shooting his guns. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on here that they know about. Well, each one of them, but they don't know the other team. So like how many cap boosters they have left. I'll take a look and see if there's any wrecks around here. One advanced tactic we've often seen from good teams is approaching wrecks of their allies or enemies to pick up cap boosters.
Well,
but they're all really far away, actually.
The Devoter could do that. It could abandon their drones and try and pick up maybe some of these other combat. Like there's some Hornet 1s there. He might have to get a little bit more DPS.
The problem is, I think they're all far enough away that he would take huge amounts of damage.
It's not worth getting the range to do that. So
I think this is a good position for the APOC here to be in the middle of the arena, away from all the wrecks.
And if you've seen the web come off the Navy APOC from the Devoter, that's like. I assume he's getting low on cap, and he's like, I just don't need a web to hit this. So
the web was actually from the drones.
He didn't have a local web as well.
No, he's just got the SRAM, which is enough to allow him to keep up. I think he pulled the drones though, because
why?
They definitely wouldn't have been killed by the APOC, I don't think.
Well,
but they're not on the field anymore, so one way or another, the drones are gone. This is
that's not great. Like those drones. Those drones help. The Navy APOC can try and lower the transversal, make sure it gets a little bit harder hits onto that Devoter, which is just slowly whittling, like we were talking about 65% armor now.
I honestly like the speed that the Devoter is going down compared to the APOC. I think the Devoter is actually... All right. The other thing we need to note here is that it's very possible that these guys might not both die before the time runs out. In that case, I actually don't know who had the biggest attack bar at the beginning of this fight.
I don't remember.
We'll have to, and it would be close either way. I mean, it's the difference in Confessor and Heretic, Sacrilege Devoter. Maybe Damassys Kadesh would probably have a bit of an advantage there. Probably depends on how they're fit, though. Like what kind of.
Well, that was a heavy missile sack, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Versus beams. Devoter has the advantage in DPS there, depending on, of course, what lows they have fed. This is going to go down to the wire. We haven't gotten a report yet about exactly how much time is left in the overtime period here, but we're going to see.
I think we've got about 3 minutes left there.
Yep. There you go. Under 2 minutes remaining, actually.
Wow.
So neither of these ships are going to die. We are going to go into the end tiebreaker. These guys are going to go down to that. And we're going to have to see who had the most DPS. This Devoter is now dropping a bit faster, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to be able to survive 2 minutes unless he completely messes up.
Definitely survive.
So, yeah, we are now going to have this match, this grudge match between these two houses. Of course, these are two of the royal houses that hate each other with a passion. They have a long-standing rivalry. Ardashapur, of course, a very ardent religious traditionalist, and House Canid
leaving the empire.
Very iconoclastic. Yeah, these guys have not shown the same kind of respect for religion that Ardashapur has, and that's caused a lot of friction between them. And of course, abandoning the empire and refusing to go through with your obligations will do that. But yes, this, of course, a really important in-universe fight as well to see which one of these two houses will prevail.
To be honest, it's a little bit unsatisfactory for both these teams, given all that anger and friction between them.
Yeah, I think at this point, if we did go, like if they had another 5 minutes on top of this, or maybe another 10 minutes, the Devoter would probably die first. But
do you think so? I mean, that Devoter doesn't really need to run his reps. He can actually, a very clever Devoter pilot, what he would be doing now is trying to keep his cap sitting at about the 30% to get the maximum amount of cap regen. He doesn't really matter as long as he has more than like 0% armor. He can just cycle that rep just to keep him sitting in that 30% range, maximum cap regen.
I think he's the one in more cap problems right now because of the fact that we're seeing the APOC hasn't dropped too much. So Damassys Kadesh does win on the tiebreaker. So the match has ended. Canid wins because they had more DPS on the field at the beginning. Of course, an important thing for teams to remember when they go into these matches, that is something that can happen. So bringing more DPS, always better than bringing less. And that is a second win for Canid and a second loss for Ardashapur. Neither of these houses are either guaranteed to win or out yet. There's still a lot more to go, but this is a bad position for Ardashapur and a great position for Canid. And we will send it back to the guys at the desk.
You logged in.
Titan's log in. Titan's hidden fleet.
Jump to Walter.
Jump to Walter.
Jump to Walter. Fuck him up. Fuck him up. Fuck him up.
A reminder to all fleet members that whelping is almost guaranteed to happen at some point on our roams. For this reason, Redemption Road recommends the use of cheap or naked clones while roaming. Thank you for your attention, and don't forget to fly safe.
And with its second victory, House Canid moves into a commanding lead. So far, the only house to have the opportunity to have 2 wins in a row. Ardashapur falling behind. Now that's 2 losses for that house. The SoulLess Zealot unable to capitalize on his position, unable to bring a win home. CCP Claymore.
Yeah, we saw some potentially really big plays there coming over from SoulLess Zealot side with Ardashapur. That scramble to stop the MJD on Repic just seemed like it could have been really, really important. The Devoter managing to just get under the guns, stay there, just knocking off the damage coming from that Navy APOC. But in the end, just both pilots surviving to the end, winning through on the sheer damage they had at the start of the match.
Now, do we see that come into play when these teams then design their comps further on? Are people going to be considering more how much damage they bring in the beginning, anticipating this kind of draw towards the end? Rise?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess it's something where if you had a break-even decision on a comp, you were had 2 and they felt very even and you were unsure. Taking the one with higher damage probably makes sense, which could come up with one ship, I guess, if you're choosing, your cruiser and one has higher damage. Maybe you think about that, but I think probably people focus much more on just wanting to win, in the normal way.
What would you have done differently had you been in command of the SoulLess Zealot squad for House Ardashapur in that match?
It was hard to tell for sure, but one thing I think I would have flown the APOC a little differently at the very end. It looked like he had an orbit command set, it was trying to constantly kind of rotate to correct its position. Basically when you hit orbit, if you're inside the range that you want it to orbit at, the ship tries to move out to the range where it can orbit. But when you're slower like this, you just end up spinning kind of while the ship tries to do that. And you're better off usually in the bigger ship flying in a straight direction, because then when the devoter comes around and is next to you and is flying the same direction, you track a lot better. And it didn't look like he was doing that, so there may have been some chance for him to get more damage in if he would have done that instead, but I'm not sure. Other than that, it was just tough. I don't know. I like keeping their last ship that died, which was their APOC, right? That died at the same time as the Navy Harb. He was repping, and he was not tackled. He was like in kind of a mid position in the arena, and I was thinking, if there's any way he can mitigate some damage to just get him through to where the Harb's dead, he might be able to rep back because the damage is low from just the one APOC. But
of course, the next match coming up here will be House Kador versus House Sarum. House Sarum having one victory already, Kador having one loss. The same sort of situation we faced before. What bans are coming in? What do you guys expect to see?
I mean, I'm going to expect to see the Curse. I expect that's going to be happening a lot. The Curse and the Pilgrim, just because up so far we've just seen laser boats, and the Curse and the Pilgrim potentially just huge benefit to shut those lasers down. Maybe the Prophecy of Damnation again, just the links, the utility. I mean, we're seeing a lot of drones. The smart bombs, I'm surprised we're not seeing more smart bombs. The amount of armor maintenance drones we're seeing, and the Prophecy, he can field a lot of utility. So,
and I think we have those bands ready to go up on screen just now. There we have it. Ithica Hawk versus Mitara Newelle here. The bands, the Curse, the Apocalypse Navy issue, the Damnation, and the Confessor. And again, that Damnation coming in, that Curse coming in just as predicted. The Confessor, of course, powerful in this format, but maybe...
I think this is really cool. We could see a Pilgrim here. That'd be interesting to know whether or not that actually makes it in if it's not banned. We haven't really had that tested. I have a feeling we don't. And also, we maybe get to see our first Prophecies here, which is also cool.
Now, only the Apocalypse Navy issue banned there. That means the Armageddon Navy issue still available. That ship maybe not quite as much of a bonus for those longer range pulses, but it's still able to deliver.
Yeah, it does more damage. And probably tanks a bit more too, because it's the combat variation, not the attack variation, so more base HP. But, I mean, if it's true that being able to hit across the whole arena, having a lot of range is really the most important thing, people could bring a normal APOC, because it gets range bonuses as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether people go with the APOC or the Navy-Geddon. I assume it'll be the Navy-Geddon. It's just a lot stronger overall, but a lot more room to kite in this match, most likely.
Claymore, what do you bring as your fit, as your comp, given these bans?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably bringing the Navy-Geddon. I mean, it can project that damage almost as well as the Apocalypse, which has been banned out. I would be tempted to bring either the Sentinel or the Pilgrim just to get that tracking disruption. I mean, the Curse and the Pilgrim, they're fairly similar ships. I'm not sure what I'm going to take for the third one. I might try with the Prophecy, just see how that utility goes. As I said, the newts, the smart bombs, it can still do the damage and it can tank. So
now we've had some debates about the final slot in this comp, the frigate or destroyer level. With the Confessor unavailable, do you go for the Heretic?
Possibly. I'm really surprised there hasn't been more Sentinels. I think, like he said, I would think about Sentinels. With the Prophecy here, there's probably a little bit less likely to run into guns. So Sentinel loses a little value, but I just think it's really strong. Gives you a lot of value over. Oh, is that? I would bring a Sentinel.
Great. Thanks for that. We are ready to go to the match now. The teams have taken the field, and we will go to CCP Fozzy and CCP Larrikin for this, the fifth match of the day, Kador versus Sarum.
And welcome to the boys in the booth. I'm CCP Larrikin here with CCP Fozzy. Why don't you tell us about this match?
So we've got our first Tech 1 standard battleship on the field from the Kador team here. It's a normal Apocalypse flown by Ithica Hawk. It is a pulse Apocalypse trying to take advantage of that range bonus that you otherwise would lose if you went with the Navy-Geddon. Meanwhile, Mitara Newelle's team, we have the Navy Armageddon to get that extra hit points with beams to still get a lot of range.
Yeah.
We've got Sacrilege, Vengeance, Vengeance and Navy Harbinger for Ithica Hawk, rounded out with Navy Harbinger, Heretic, and Sacrilege for Mitara Newelle. So our first Assault Frig as well coming from Ithica Hawk. Both teams came in with quite a bit of range. They're going to try to take advantage of that range. This is going to be really interesting to see how these battleship match kind of choices work out for the two teams. Already damage being applied to the Vengeance.
Well, he was instantly primaried, but he managed to get enough transversal there. I think he's probably going to be all right. He's going to be a pretty tough target for a beam fit Navy Armageddon. But, damage is getting through to him.
Worth noting, both of these Sacrileges are ham fit, actually, so they need to get in nice and close to do their damage. And the Sacrilege of Arisa there is taking damage, and she's going to have to see how she can tank as the full weight of these ships starts hitting. When it comes to the actual control, one tracking disruptor applied to that Apocalypse, that's going to be pretty key.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about the Apocalypse decision? I mean, it's a dodge around the Apocalypse Navy ban, which we saw, but it's got considerably less armor.
I think it's obvious both of these teams wanted to use the Navy APOC. They are both setting themselves up long range, and they both kind of scrambled after the ban to switch to something else, or well, at least they both went to their backup second choice. And I actually kind of like the beam Navy Geddon, especially when you don't have any tracking disruptors on you. It's so huge to be able to just fire away with these high damage weapons, and we're seeing Mitara Newelle just sitting there, not having to move very fast, just sort of casually sitting at long range, plinking away.
They got a great drone, a great lot of drones, and a utility high as well. I really like that choice.
So Jaxley Sacrilege is the primary coming from Mitara Newelle's team. Both teams are focused on the Sacrilege, but Jaxley Sacrilege is going down a lot faster. Ithica Hawk's team's going to need to keep him alive.
There's a whole bunch of heavy armor bots actually chasing him, trying to get reps on him. It looks like he's slowed down a little bit to let them catch up.
They've got the Vengeance right beside him, probably there to help screen off any tackle. So if Mitara Newelle's team gets in with, say, their own Sacrilege, or if there's tackle on the Heretic, probably not, then that Vengeance will be there to peel it off, which is a very good tactic. That's smart. But we're going to see whether
I'm a little bit surprised here. It looks like the Heretic's putting damage on the Vengeance, which I guess is a pretty good choice, because they've had to switch the rep bots over to the Sacrilege, try and keep it alive. That's more valuable to them, potentially, than the Vengeance. The Vengeance is just going to take a little bit of damage here from that Heretic.
You know what I'd consider doing is shooting the rep bots.
I would. Yeah, that's a great job for the
This
Heretic.
team from Ithica Hawk here doesn't have a lot of backup drone bay. You don't have a ton of extra drones. You have a bit, but you're going to actually lose a lot of ability to rep as these drones go down.
Assuming they even have a second set, they may have damage in there for utility.
So we're seeing now primary switch. The Vengeance dropping quickly, and so the Sacrilege of Arisa there now tackled with Nos on it from the Vengeance. It looks like the Vengeance went in and got tackled, but is now going to pay the price for that.
Yeah,
Mitara Newelle's team is desperate to get that thing down so that Arisa Sacrilege
there he's gone. He's gone.
And that takes the web and the Nos off of that Sacrilege. Looks like the Sacrileges have now tackled each other and are pounding away with their heavy assault missiles.
Bit of a grudge Sacrilege match.
Yeah. Both Sacrileges getting a lot of help from these rep bots. These are, of course, heavy tanking ships. One of the reasons they're being brought so much. And they can do...
There's a ton more on Jaxley, though. Then I guess it's that choice. Well, there we go. There's the first Sacrilege down.
That is, the Sacrilege of Arisa is down. So we've got Vengeance traded for Sacrilege. Obviously, if that was it, that would be a great trade for the Hawks team. But of course, they've got their own Sacrilege at low armor as well. So we'll see how well he can tank. He now is not tackled. That's going to be pretty key. So we'll see if that
damage coming in.
Navy Geddon can actually hit him. Is he going to be able to just reduce the damage by getting under his strike? Well, he's still quite a long way away. But he is getting good transversal. He's going right at perpendicular to the ship.
Yep. And that, he's probably MWD fit given those numbers, but that MWD bonus is really going to give him quite a lot of damage mitigation against a beam fit Navy Armageddon.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's still taking a chunk of damage, and it's also going to lower the effectiveness of those drones, giving him decent reps.
So meanwhile, Ithica Hawk's team has switched their primary over to the Navy Harbinger of Elizabeth there, and at the moment, she's just going through shields, not in too much trouble. And if this Sacrilege goes down, that's going to be a lot of the tackle ability off the field for Ithica Hawk. Both teams then won't have a ton of tackle left.
I think that Sacrilege is there goes that Sacrilege. That really puts Mitara in a commanding position, I think. I think they've got the... I mean, I guess it depends on the mids on the Heretic. It really depends what he's got there. Does they have any tackle at all? They've certainly got those tracking disruptors on. That's really going to hurt them there. But I'm curious what the tracking difference is between a regular APOC and a Navy Armageddon fitting beams.
I mean, it's going to be much better tracking, of course, with the APOC because of the fact that it's got the tracking bonus and is using pulses. But it's going to be they're both shooting at big ships, so it's not going to be as big of a loss. And of course, they're both operating at pretty extended ranges right now too. These teams are a good like 70, 80 kilometers away from each other right now.
Yeah. And so Mitara's team is primary the Navy Harbinger on Ithica Hawk's team. They're disrupted through shields, moving into armor. It doesn't really look like Mitara's taking any damage.
There's 2 tracking disruptors, that's why. We're talking 2 teams 70 kilometers apart, and tracking disruptors on the one and not on the other. That is a huge difference. And that, I think, is, again, a really good choice to put these unbonus tracking disruptors spread probably across a couple of different ships. They might both be on the Heretic, but I would assume, actually, that they probably got them spread a bit. And Heretic now taking damage. Looks like the Hawks team's going to try to knock that down. It'll probably knock at least one of the tracking disruptors off.
Look at that massive hits on there. Obviously, those tracking disruptors aren't too bad.
Raphael there is going to have to get transversal up fast to survive. He is getting he has a local rep going. If he can get range, and he's repping a bit now, and it looks like the damage has dropped off. He is now going perpendicular. I think what happened was
he was maneuvering, just didn't have enough transversal.
He was coming in a bit closer and approached a little bit, and his transversal reduced. But he's now back up to almost full health. That is very quick thinking on Raphael's part there. He was very clever to get the transversal up fast. Survived.
And now he's got armor bots on him as well. So.
But of course, the armor bots might not help because he can get volleyed, right? At this point, he's basically 3 hits away from dying. So he still needs to be very careful with his transversal. But I'm sure at this point his palms are very sweaty. He is like he just went through a bit of a panic moment there, but meanwhile, we are seeing this kind of slow, methodical damage being applied from Mitara Newelle's Sarum team onto Ithica Hawk's Kador team, and
it does look like they switch primaries there for a little bit, shooting at the Apocalypse. We're not seeing a lot of
they're
damage.
They're just far enough away now. These teams are currently in rough positions. We're seeing actually Mitara Newelle's team. The big ships are all right at the middle of the arena, so they might be about to use a micro jump unit to try to get on top of their targets. We'll see how that goes for them, but. Yeah, Bay Arch's Harbinger Navy issue is just well out of range of being able to shoot anything. He's not even firing. Well, he is firing a bit now, but it's just not a ton of damage being applied. So we'll see how well these teams can tank once they get a bit closer to him. Because at the moment we're seeing the Kador team is like halfway out towards the arena edge, and they're trying to keep a bit of distance while Mitara Newelle's Sarum team is approaching and acting more aggressive.
Mitara Newelle's team is applying fairly decent damage against the Hawk himself, though.
Yeah, of course, one of the reasons we haven't seen a lot of these Tech 1 battleships, such weaker tanks. These have a lot less hit points than the Navy battleships, about 50% more hit points on a Navy battleship compared to its Tech 1 equivalent. And that's really going to hurt in this kind of grudge match. If it comes down to, for instance, the battleships left against each other, the Navy Geddon's going to have more DPS and more hit points, and that's just going to be really huge.
Absolutely, yeah.
So at the moment, both teams just tanking pretty fine right now. The armor maintenance bots are enough to reduce the damage at this range, and it's just going to be they're kind of testing each other out. They're moving in a little bit at the moment. The Ithica Hawk team is trying to primary Elizabeth's Harbinger, and really get some damage on it.
Really, what Ithica Hawk is trying to do? They have a minute. 20 seconds left. What Ithica Hawk?
They can kill the Heretic.
They have to kill a Heretic. That is their only play. They're not going to kill that Navy Harbinger in this amount of time. They're waiting for the Heretic, Raphael, to make a mistake, lose transversal, and try and volume off the field as quickly as they can. That's what they're looking for right now. In fact, I'm almost surprised they're shooting at all. I would maybe you'd better off just sitting on that F1 button waiting for him to...
The Heretic's far enough away. That's one of the things these Heretics can do, right?
He doesn't need to be in the battle anymore.
Yeah, he can just plink away with some light missiles.
Well, if you're the Heretic, why even bother? Just keep on the other side. It's much more important you stay alive than even contribute any damage.
So if there's any hope with 1 minute remaining here, 45 seconds, for Ithica Hawk's team, it has to be a micro jump unit and a quick snipe onto this. But I don't really see them being able to get that done. They are beside a micro jump unit.
They might actually lose that Navy Harbinger before they even have a chance for that. 30 seconds, and he's moving slowly into structure there. So
and they're not pointing in the right direction.
No,
they're not going to be able to get this jump in time. The Bayard J's Navy Harb is taking a lot of damage. He's
starting
probably
to
not
rip
going to
up now.
die in
No.
only 15 seconds. But this is going to be, there you go, the APOC is now jumping. But it's too little too late. And
He's going to land, with 3-4 seconds remaining, trying to... that's
once
not enough.
again, we're seeing the team that won earlier in the day winning their second match. So that is Sarum going up 2 wins and Kador going down with 2 losses. Really rough position for Kador coming to this, and Sarum has to be very happy. This is a
Incredibly happy, I
team
think.
with a great loyalist pedigree, and they've been really, I think, surprising a lot of people with how well they've been performing.
Absolutely. But let's pass it back to the Des boys for further analysis.
Message from PL.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
It reads this.
Yay.
We can see you.
Oh my god, I'm a god!
And House Sarum moves forward with a second win as House Kador under Ithica Hawk fall to 2 losses. Again, a weak spot to be in. The same conditions as House Artishapur. Both of them will face difficulty trying to come back from that, I imagine. The performance on the field, though, very impressive flying, I think, on behalf of that heretic pilot, Rafael Ordo. Almost going out, managing to pilot his way to safety. What did you think of the match? CCP Rise.
I mean, it was really close. I was surprising when they killed the Sacrilege. Looked like maybe they were going to turn it around because they were kind of looked on the defensive to begin with. I'm pretty surprised they did go with APOC. I talked a bit about that before the match, and seeing them bring an Apocalypse was a little bit surprising, although I guess it didn't die in the match. So the biggest weakness, which is that it has less tank, didn't actually matter all that much.
You've got to think the difference in damage application, though. Of course, the Navy APOC being banned, someone feeling forced into that possibly by the other band that they had seen or the other 2 bands that they saw.
Yeah.
Claymore, how much do you think that difference in the ability to apply cost House Kador?
Yeah, I mean, also it gets one less low slot on the non-Navy one. Potentially losing more tank, although we didn't see it go down. It also potentially dropping a heatsink or something, so less damage. And when you can't project as much damage, I think it probably played a big part. So it was a good ban. I think it was Ithica Hawk's side banned it out. Good ban for the other side.
I mean, this match, like a lot of the ones so far, I think had a lot to do with tracking disruptors. I mean, even though the APOC shoots a lot further than the Navy Geddon does, well, not with beams, but tracks better. Tracking disruptors just meant that it was really hard for Ithica Hawk's team to put as much damage on the field.
Do you think that's why they went for the assault frigate, went with the Vengeance over the Retribution?
I mean, I was actually, I think the support decision or the small ship decision is really interesting the whole time, and I think a good reason to go for the Vengeance is that you're unlikely to lose it. They did in this match, which is kind of surprising. You would think, Vengeance versus Heretic, that the Heretic would go down and the Vengeance would be okay. But the Vengeance went for that tackle to try and finish off the Sacrilege and died. But I mean, I think it's because the ships are worth even amounts of points. Yeah. You would think the support ship would be the most vulnerable way to get some points, and so bringing a Vengeance that's harder to kill seems pretty smart to me. Actually, you give up some damage, but I think it's a pretty solid call.
Yep.
Of course, we're not seeing some of the ships that have similar hulls but are not classed as Amarr ships. It would have been great to see a Malice in there if that were available. That would have made the difference, I imagine.
Yes, that would do really well.
Up next, the third of the matches here in the second block of the second round of the Amarr Championships. This match between Corazor and House Tashmir Khan. Now, again, as before, Tashmir Khan has one victory already behind them. Hopefully, or they are hoping rather, to make that 2 to match up with the other teams that have already secured 2 victories each. Corazor, Lysus' team, unable to secure a victory in their first round. What are they banning out?
I think we're going to see just the same thing through the course of the day. I really think the curse might be banned out. I'm actually surprised we're not seeing someone try and ban out like the Navy Harp, because I think it's been in almost every fleet so far, and it's been really good. It's got the links, it can project those beams really well, it's got the tracking. I think we'll see that at some point. I don't think we'll see it in this match. So maybe curse. We saw banning out the Navy Apocalypse. Really beneficial, so I think we might see that again. Damnation, it seems like it might be another one that's banned a lot today, just with the ability to get those links off the field.
Interesting thing we saw there was Open Prophecy. Talked about that beforehand too. That was one of the first matches prophecies weren't banned, but no one brought one. So maybe we'll see that ban starting to fall out unless people start doing well with prophecy. So I would think we see Damnation and Curse bans for sure. The other two pretty open. I wouldn't be surprised to see Navy APOC again, Confessor. Lots of things.
And I think we have those bands ready to go up on the screen. Let's take a look. There we have it, the Harbinger Navy issue as as requested. The Sentinel, the Curse, and the Pilgrim. The Sentinel, that electronic attack ship. The Curse and the Pilgrim, the recon ships for Amarr.
So this looks like it'll be like probably Damnation Sacrilege on both teams, I would think. Which changes things a lot. You have a lot of damage selection here. Hopefully people are shooting explosive. I was surprised. I was looking at some of the lost mails from earlier matches, from the first couple matches of the day, and everyone's fitting EA&Ms, like adaptive membranes, basically hardening all their armor resist, even on the Tech 1 ships like the Harbingers and the APOCs, which means they're kind of leaving their explosive hull really exploitable. Oh no, the other way around. They're protecting against it a bit. But I was surprised. I would think everybody would be fitting like for EM Therm because there's so much of that damage in these matches, but they weren't.
I think most people are actually hoping that they can push people towards bringing limited damage, and of course Amarr kind of lending itself to that already, as was discussed earlier at the desk.
So if you're bringing a battleship, are you taking the Navy Geddon or the Navy Apocalypse? Because it's not been banned out now in this one. Yeah. They have the choice of it. I mean, do you bring them? And which one?
Yeah, I mean, the APOCs looked stronger so far. Just when it's been there up against the Geddon, it seemed to do really well.
It's the full field reach. I think I don't think anyone really questions whether or not that's the decisive factor.
It has the full field reach. We saw in not the last match, the match before that, although it wasn't active repping, it had a huge amount of tank on it. So it can survive, hopefully, to the end of the round.
Well, let's see who survives to the end of this round as we go to the field where House Corazor, under the command of Lysus, and House Tashmerkin, under Kelon Darklight, are ready to take the field. We'll go to CCP Fozzie and CCP Larrikin for commentary right now.
Welcome back, everyone. This is CCP Fozzie, joined by CCP Larrikin, and we have Lysus versus Kelon Darklight. Two really cool setups coming up here. Kelon Darklight once again bringing out the Pulse Navy Geddon. He's the only team that's been doing this. It's risky, obviously, because you can't do damage at long range, but we've seen before what it does when it gets on top of targets. Lysus bringing a Navy APOC fit with pulses as is usual. Sacrilege, Damnation, Confessor. Ham fit across the board for the missile ships. Kelon Darklight going with our first use of the Zealot so far this day. And,
it warms my heart to see a Zealot on the field.
This is a beam Zealot. It is going to be designed to snipe and to move really quickly. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. We also have very interesting warp-in choices. Lysus's team came in at 0, while Kelon Darklight came in spread out. Damnation a bit closer for screening, and the rest out further.
That Confessor has shot immediately in, trying to grab a hard tackle. Who's he going for the hard tackle for?
We don't have the...
Taking... wow.
He's taking a lot of damage. He's getting tackle on the Zealot. I can see why you'd want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tackle on the Zealot would be key. If they can take that Zealot down, that's going to be huge. He's a good
It
primary
might not have
target.
been a fantastic play. Rep Drone's catching up with him now, but
he is still in... All right, he was in sniper mode in sharpshooter mode for a while there, and just now switched.
I
think
he's
in speed mode now. He's down. He didn't have a chance to... Oh, yeah, he didn't have a chance to get his damage reduction through either speed or resistances fast enough, and you have to wonder... Was that a mistake there, going in?
I don't think so.
At any point being in sharpshooter. He might have been in sharpshooter to get a faster lock at the beginning.
Well, he might have been in sharpshooter to make sure his DPS numbers were up at the start of the match, and then didn't switch.
It won't change your DPS, though. It doesn't actually have a damage
that's
bonus.
right. Of course.
Anyways, meanwhile, Sacrilege taking a lot of damage now from Lysus's team. This is going really well for Kelon Darklight right off the bat. They've got that first blood, which of course is so key because all the ships are worth the same amount. And meanwhile, that Sacrilege is taking taking tons of damage. He's getting some range. He's trying to stay away from the high damage of this Navy Geddon with pulses, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. He is still within Scorch range, and he's tackled.
Over half the team on Kelon Darklight's team is hard tackle with webs and scrams. On the other side, 2 webs as well. I mean, this is just an absolute brawl at, well, not quite 0, but almost 0.
Well, they are far enough away that they're forcing the Geddon to use Scorch, but they're not able to get further away than that. This is really good screening by actually the Damnation. So the Damnation, piloted by Team Captain Kelon Darklight, he was at 10 kilometers.
Yeah.
The rest of the team was at 30 and 50. As we see the Sacrilege go down, really great start for Kelon Darklight. And he caught the opposing Sacrilege as was approaching in. As we were all shouting about how that Confessor was getting tackled and dying, meanwhile, the Damnation screened perfectly, caught himself a hack that is short-range missiles and couldn't do damage to the Zealot. And
kept him out of the fight, basically.
Yep. And then that Sacrilege was forced to shoot at a Damnation, obviously.
Which is a horrible choice.
And couldn't get out of range of the Geddon. This is a really great piloting and range selection. This looked like they were trying to really rush in with a lot of their ships on Lysus' team, which I think is a decent strategy, but just got themselves caught.
And I mean, Kelon Darklight is an absolute commanding position here, working on the Navy Apocalypse. Again, we're going to see the Damnation die last, but I really can't see how Lysus can bring it back. Yep. And if I'm not wrong, this might be the second loss for Lysus.
Yes, indeed. This is if Kelon Darklight wins this, then we'll have 3 teams at 2-0 and 3 teams at 0-2.
That is a huge. Yeah.
So this Navy APOC, of course, has the range advantage over the Navy Geddon. We haven't seen people using Pulse Navy Geddons other than Kelon Darklight for the reason of it's hard to apply range. However, that would only matter if the Navy APOC had been able to get far enough away. If he had, say, pulled enough range to be kiting at the edge of Scorch range, while the Damnation was tackling the Sacrilege and not tackling him.
Yeah.
But it looks like he just didn't. It's tough to say. We haven't seen him move quickly. It's possible he's no prop. We don't know that. That would be one reason why you'd bring a Pulse Geddon at 0 if you're no prop and fitting lots of E-War.
Yep.
So that's a decent, trying to play it like the Retributions we've seen before. But if so, then that's just he happened to get countered here. Because a no prop Navy APOC is great if you want to make sure you can hit everything from the middle of the arena. But it's terrible if you want to get away from a Geddon. And this Geddon just does so much more damage.
And that Navy APOC dropping now. Look, Lysus doing doing things right there. He sent the Damnation and get the hard tackle on the Navy Armageddon, trying to make sure. And the Damnation vanished?
So the...
Did he MJD out of the arena?
He very well may have. Something happened that killed him. Yeah, I don't know.
Great.
That ended the match quickly.
That was
and with that, we are done with that match. And Kelon Darklight going up 3-0, and we'll send you back to the guys at the desk.
3, 2, 1. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Eve Radio, where we play music for the masses.
If you can't handle the heat, you should get out of the kitchen. PvP is hard. I have sweat rolling down my chest. Now that's sexy.
And Hoodie Mafia truncating that match significantly by self-destructing to end the second round, the second block of the second round of matches here at the Amarr Championships. There we have the third team in a row going up 2 matches to the third team in a row going down 2 matches.
Yeah, I mean, going up 2 matches is massive. If they can win their next one, carry into the final week, a 3-0, they're going to put themselves in a really good position. At this point, today, nobody can be guaranteed. It's all gonna get decided tomorrow. But I mean, getting 2 wins, massive.
I want to give big props to Kelon Darklight. They brought a Zealot, incredibly cool, and their whole setup had so much damage, a lot more than we've been seeing. I think most of the setups we've seen have been a bit defensively tilted. I mean, Amarr kind of naturally is, but Kelon really went for a lot of damage output, which wins that tiebreaker if he gets to it. But I think more importantly, just wins the match.
Now we also saw Lysus' squad sending in tackle very early on, kind of aggressively trying to nail that Zealot down, just not being able to use the Confessor to the best of its ability and losing that ship early on. Did that play a huge role, or was that Zealot just going to provide the necessary punches regardless?
I think either way, it goes well. It probably losing the Confessor early doesn't help, but one nice thing about the Zealot is it's so good at killing a support. They had no tracking disruption against them at all, so the Zealot can really, at some point in the match, as soon as a Confessor makes itself relevant by being close at all, the Zealot's going to kill it. They get a lot better application to small ships with that than they would with the cruisers people have been bringing, like a beam devoter or any variation of a sacrilege, really. So it's a tough match to fly support in for sure on Lysus' side.
Claymore?
Just curious if they always were going to bring the Zealot, or I can't remember, did they bring the Damnation? Or if they wanted the Navy Harp instead, maybe, or if they were always going to come with the Zealot. Maybe that changed at the end because they're quite similar in the way they're flown, getting the range. They both apply the damage really well. They both tank. They both got some speed.
Yeah, I don't know. The Navy Hardband is interesting. I would think people are pretty happy to bring Damnations whenever they can, but I don't know. I just really like this Kelon comp. Is really smart. I think he's looked the most comfortable with this kind of tournament rule set the whole way through.
Tremendously powerful, tremendously good showing, and of course all of those fleets houses that have gone for 2 victories in this second round, they're undefeated.
Yeah.
throughout the entire tournament thus far, which must be empowering. I imagine. We will see if they can continue. Certainly not in the last match of the day when House Sarum will face House Tashmirkan, but in the matches that precede that, Ardashapur versus Kador, a 0-win bracket for the second round, and Khanid versus Khorazor, House Khanid being 2 wins up, Khorazor 2 wins down. That will be interesting. Those matches coming up at 1740, 1800, and 1820, respectively, later on this afternoon. We will go to a break right now. Again, the approximate length of 1 match before commencing those matches at 1740 Eve time. In the meantime, we will leave you with the Amarr Cam and also an interview with a member of our production staff, CCP Dren. If you can stand the gut-wrenchingly cringe-worthy performance of the interviewer, please stick around and check it out. Gentlemen, audience at home. Hello, this is CCP Antiquarian, and I'm joined by CCP Dren. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, except for this interview.
Wow. Scathing critique of the interview system. More on that later. Right now, we're going to talk to you about your role here at CCP and what you do with the various teams with which you work. So this is a bit complex. You are both a development producer and a development manager.
Yes, you can say that.
All right. Now, you're a development producer only for one team, and that team is...
Team Space Glitter.
Space Glitter. But you are also their development manager.
Yes.
And you're the development manager for 2 other teams as well?
Yes.
And they are?
Game of Thrones and 5-0.
Game of Thrones and 5-0. So collectively, you're looking over a number of feature development teams. And they work on projects ranging from what we have the structures coming from Game of Thrones, capital rework from 5.0, and Space Glitter is introducing a new system?
Yeah, a tribute system.
The tribute system?
Yep.
What does that entail?
This is where Concord pays Capsuleers a reward for finishing a site in the game. Any site, so this can be done where you like to play, so you don't have to go somewhere special. And any content that you, or most content that you finish, you'll get like a daily tribute, depending on the level.
So if you do a mission for an agent, say, depending on how difficult that mission was, you'll receive an additional payment?
Yeah, you get an extra reward.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, more money, more ISK.
We can always deal with more money and more ISK. I mean, it must be a bit of work to supervise all of those teams. Do you have any assistants there, or is it just you wrangling cats?
I don't have assistants per se, but I have CCP Mimic with me.
Oh.
She's a development producer for 2 of the teams.
Excellent.
5.0 and Game of Thrones. So it's more the development producer is doing the production work for the teams.
And what exactly does that entail? Production work?
We also call it greasing the wheels or being a grease monkey.
I see.
Yeah, it's just making sure that the teams have everything that they need so that they can do the work that they need to do, help them with the planning system in any way they need.
So when they need new software equipment, they come to you?
Yes, they can do that. Well, that's actually the development manager.
I see.
But yes, that's also me.
All right. It's a complex bureaucratic system, and it seems to work out just fine.
Yeah,
for
well,
you.
if I could draw you a picture, I don't think you would find it that complex. So no, but it's a lot about us. We take on more roles than just the one role. So development manager is the people manager for the teams, so for the people on the teams, and the producer also does additional work. So we're trying to make me useful.
Now, do you facilitate communication between teams? Say, if one of your teams needs assets from art or from the sound team, are you partially responsible for that?
I'm not personally responsible for it. The teams are themselves, but I'll try to make sure it happens if I don't feel that it is happening. But most often the teams are pretty good at this. The people on the teams do pretty good themselves.
Obviously, you also have a partial role in hiring and bringing people on board at CCP.
Yeah, it's part of my job, making sure that we have the right people working on the project.
Now, I think the viewers at home might be interested to know, what is it that you look for in a prospective candidate for a position here?
It's a combination of, usually we're looking for someone who has some experience in the field. So if I'm looking for a QA analyst, I'm looking for someone who has some experience with QA. If they also have knowledge of Eve, it's very helpful.
Is that a requisite for getting a job here?
It's not a requisite, but I mean, if you have 2 or 3 or 3 or 3 that we're looking for, then that's of course the better thing.
Did you play Eve before you came to CCP?
No, I didn't.
Do you play Eve now?
Very limited, but I have played some Eve.
Tactful response. Very nice.
Yes.
You do, however, play other games, I'm told.
Yes.
What is your most recent game addiction?
I just got addicted to Hearthstone.
That's a rough one.
Yeah.
I hope that you make it through.
Yeah, thanks.
If you need any help, there's a support group here.
Good to know.
And you also play a good deal of golf.
Yeah, I do.
What's your handicap?
I do go a lot to the golf course.
We want to know. We want to know how good is Dren on the links.
So after like 7 years of golfing, I finally lowered my handicap below the 36. So I'm now 34.7, and I'm totally proud of it.
34.7. That's impressive. That's impressive right there. A little question about the tournament that's going on right now, the Amarr Championships. Obviously a big storyline moment for the EVE universe. Which house do you support?
Mermith Sarum.
House Sarum. You support House Sarum.
I do.
I can't believe it. Do you know who's flying for Mermith Sarum? Do you know? It's Elise Randolph. Elise Randolph, who, because he refused to give me a Mets hat, is personally responsible for the Mets losing the World Series. It's over. This interview is done.
You're not talking to me again.
That's it. This mic is not coming off. God! We'll do it live.
When I'm Morgan Freeman and not busy contemplating the beginning of the universe, I think of which corporations I should war deck using the Marmite Collective. And you should too, because I'm Morgan Freeman.
This just in, Dixon Cox Boats Preservation Society has been accused of having the dankest men.
Welcome back to the Amarr Championships. I am CCP Antiquarian, and with me at the desk are CCP Rise and CCP Larrikin. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Now, the teams have already taken the field for our next match, House Ardashapur versus House Kador. Neither of these teams thus far able to secure a victory for their houses. So this match, very consequential if they hope to move forward. As I said, the teams are already on the field, and I believe we have the bands ready to go up on screen. If we could get those quickly before we go to the match. Or maybe not. Gentlemen, of course, we're expecting to see some bands that we've seen already multiple times. The Damnation, very, very unhappy thing to see on the field when you're bringing a fleet in there. Also, the Curse, I believe, has been getting a little bit of ban hate. Anything else you expect to see in this list of bands, which will pop up as soon as it's ready? There we go.
I expect to see an Apocalypse Navy issue, perhaps.
Would you consider seeing the Prophecy on the list of names? Again, the bands coming in here: the Prophecy, the Damnation, the Curse, the Apocalypse Navy issue. In this, the match between the SoulLess Zealot for House Ardashapur and Ithica Hawk for House Kador. Unless there's something vital that you all have to say, we will go immediately to the boys in the booth. Rise?
Let's go see what happens.
Larrikin?
I confirm. Let's do that.
Confirmed by Larrikin. We will go to CCP Fozzie and CCP Sledgehammer in the booth for this match 25 of the Amarr Championships.
Welcome back, everyone. This is CCP Fozzie with CCP Sledgehammer, and we have a really awesome match coming up for you all. With the Navy APOC banned out, both teams went with Pulse Navy Geddons for lots of damage, and they're about 20 kilometers away from each other as the match is about to begin. The Ithica Hawk team brought a full short-range team. That's a Ham Sacrilege, a Pulse Navy Harb, and a Confessor, while the SoulLess Zealot team went with long-range weapons for their smaller ships, but still with the Pulse Navy Geddon. So we're going to see a big slugging match right at the beginning. What do you think about these setups?
Unsurprisingly, we've got two Harbinger Navy issues on the field again. Confirming, well, nobody exercising their bans against that, as Claymore was postulating earlier on. We've got 10 seconds until match starts.
We see more potential control on the control bar there from Ithica Hawk, so we're going to have to see if they have maybe brought more tracking disruptors, which is something we've seen teams win with before. So the match has now begun. The Devoter for the SoulLess Zealot team is right in at 0 for heavy tackle, and it looks like he's going to try to get tackle on stuff right away, but we'll see how it goes. It looks like actually he's going to be their first primary as well.
Looks like we've got Stasis Webifying drones on the field again.
Oh, yes. Very good choice from the SoulLess Zealot. They're going to try to get some slowdown at long range with that, because you can't, of course, use long-range webs from Hugins or Rapiers or Hyenas, which is something you would see in an Alliance tournament.
No, that Navy Harbinger Bay Arch is melting pretty quickly. He's just above 50% armor now.
Yeah, of course, bringing in a Pulse Navy Harbinger, not something we've been seeing from a lot of teams so far. They've been usually going with the beams, and it looks like the choice of beams is a good one for SoulLess Zealot here, because it means that he's able to bring his Navy Harbinger out of the fight while still doing damage. That is a smart bomb you're seeing there from the Navy Geddon. He is going to try to clear off there you go, see all those drones explode.
Yeah.
Clear off a bunch of these rep drones from the Navy Harb.
They are just starting to bleed into structure here
Zealot.
now. And I think we're going to see the first loss on Ithica Hawk.
Ithica Hawk team's about to lose that Harbinger, and that's really going to hurt. Meanwhile, the Navy Geddon of Tori for SoulLess Zealot here is in about half armor. He is dropping, but of course, with that Navy Harb down, that's a lot of the DPS off the field.
Yeah, and he's still cycling those smart bombs as well. We've got newts going from the Navy Geddon onto the Devoter, onto the Sacrilege, my bad.
Yeah, and this is people using some pretty effective high slots, secondary high slots. The smart bombs to clear off the rep drones, really powerful. There's another round of the smart bombs there, set off by SoulLess Zealot's Navy Geddon. And there's also smart bombs on their Harbinger Navy issue.
That's Johnny 12 Bore's Confessor now dropping into armor. Let's see where he's at.
He is close enough that he's still taking some damage, but he's pulling range fast. I think he's going to he's basically going to get into a duel with the Heretic.
Looks like it.
They're off in their own corner of the field now. And meanwhile, the Geddon for SoulLess Zealot is dropping quite quickly. Ithica Hawk's Geddon is also going down, but of course they had the lead provided by the sacrifice of Bay Arche's Harp. So it looks like we're going to see the Navy Geddon for SoulLess go down first.
Yep, that's some good into structure now.
But the fact that they're getting so much cleared off in that, like they're getting the opposing Geddon to half health before he dies is really, really solid. I think this is going to be a good trade here for
sure.
SoulLess Zealot, for sure.
For sure.
The battle between the Confessor and the Heretic still going on, but they've now gotten in a bit closer to the fight. They're making sure that they can apply their tracking disruptors. We've got the tracking disruptors on the Navy Armageddon, which should be really reducing the damage if they can get transversal up.
So, well, I mean, if they're going to lose one of these Navy Geddons, that's taking what? Probably about 1,000 DPS off the field, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's taking the biggest chunk of their DPS for sure.
Yeah.
Of course, the Navy Geddon for Ithica Hawk already dropping into very low armor. He's going to probably be in structure by the time that SoulLess Zealot's Navy Geddon dies.
Yep.
This is, I think, I'd be happy right now if I'm, of course, I'd be super stressed, but I'd be happy right now if I'm SoulLess Zealot.
Yeah, this is
the
pretty
fact
strong.
that you've been able to get that first kill on the Harb has then given you the DPS advantage that you're stretching out here.
For sure, for sure.
So
it's not a bad trade-off. Geddon for a Geddon, an eye for an eye.
Yeah, yeah.
They're still going to have the advantage once the Geddon of Torre de Talis leaves the field.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing damage drones getting cleared off the field by the smart bomb on that Navy Geddon. SoulLess Zealot's Navy Geddon has killed a lot of drones. That
there
smart
we go.
bomb.
That's Ithica Hawk's Geddon down.
Ithica Hawk went down first. That is huge. If this Navy Geddon for SoulLess Zealot can pull back armor with so much DPS off the field, now he's just got a Sacrilege and a Confessor on him, and he's actually edging back a little bit of armor, just like
he's so
slowly
close to dying.
pulling it.
So close.
I think he is going to die, but it's
this is it. There he goes.
Yeah, there we go. But meanwhile, Jaxley's sack already down to about 75% armor.
Yeah.
This is a really great position to be in for SoulLess Zealot. That Beam Harp is able to apply its damage quite effectively against the tackled Sacrilege.
And you've just got the Heretic skirting around the outside, applying tracking disruption to... Yeah, to the Confessor, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing with turrets left, so that's what you put it on. And it's going to try to apply some damage to the Confessor as well, as we're seeing the Confessor taking some shield damage. That's just the Heretic sniping at him. But really, really strong position now for SoulLess Zealot. They're going to take down this Sacrilege, I think, quite easily before the Navy Harb dies. Sacrilege does have a local rep. He doesn't have rep drones on him. This is a local rep on his own ship.
Tanking it fairly well, I must admit.
Yep. Of course, the Confessor is applying tracking disruptors to the Navy Harb for SoulLess Zealot, which is reducing the damage significantly, especially as he's using beams, so the tracking of them isn't great, and he's going up against a Sacrilege that is orbiting him now. So this has actually reduced the damage against the Sac quite a bit. The Sac is still going down. He's not able to completely out-rep this damage.
And we've got all the E-War on SoulLess Zealot himself.
Yeah, SoulLess Zealot at this point is completely tackled. He can only move 78 meters a second, and he's got tracking disruptors that'll be reducing the ability to hit this Sacrilege.
Have we got a Nosferatu on that Sacrilege, probably helping him out tank that stuff. His local rep.
They've now decided to switch over to the Confessor to try to get that tracking disruptor off the field. So we're seeing now a Scrambler on the Confessor. We're seeing a tracking disruptor from the Sacrilege, of course, or from the Heretic. It's probably going to be the Heretic that's doing most of the damage because the Navy Harb probably can't apply very well. But the Navy Harb is getting that Scrambler on him. And
well, the Navy Harb for sure is getting a lot of tracking disruption going on, so can't see that happening much.
Confessor trying to pull range, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to go down, and with that, we're going to be 3 ships to 1 for SoulLess Zealot. Now, of course, both of these two teams have lost their first 2 matches. So they're coming in here in pretty desperate straits. They really need to win this match to have a hope, and it looks like SoulLess Zealot's going to be moving forward with that hope, and that's going to be really bad for Uriam Kador, who
of course, they're essentially out of the tournament now with 3 losses.
Which means
there's no coming back from that.
The royal heir of the Kador house is seeing his aspirations of emperorship go up in smoke.
Indeed.
So
Confessor's still alive, though, surprisingly.
Yeah,
barely
holding on in low structure and actually pulling back shield now because of the fact that he's just kind of away from everything. He does have the Devoter chasing. There we go.
There he
now
goes.
He's down.
Yeah, now he's down.
It looks like the Sacrilege probably is going to hold on quite effectively.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to be able to get this Harbinger Navy issue off the field before the sacrilege goes.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess if you're Ithica Hawk, your best chance here, you have 2 minutes and 41 seconds, has to be you kill the Harb and then you take down the Heretic, because you're not going to be able to kill the Devoter who's just attacking this time.
No.
Ham Sacrilege, of course, not all that great for killing a Heretic either. And if you're the Heretic pilot, you stay away, right?
Which is exactly what he's doing. He's just skirting around the outside of the field.
Yeah, he can apply damage at quite extended ranges and uses Tracking Disruptor, which is exactly what he's doing. This Sacrilege is going to get the Harp down. Now, of course, he now has this Devoter that was chasing down the Confessor back on top of him, and he can't reduce his Transversal to both of them at once. So he's orbiting the Navy Harp to try to keep his Transversal high, but it's not enough to then help him reduce the damage from the Devoter.
Yeah.
So we have 2 minutes left. Navy Harbinger of SoulLess Zealot in low armor.
Very low armor.
He is pulling back little bits and pieces here, and now with both the Navy Harp and the Devoter on him, and no Tracking Disruptor on the Navy Harp, we're seeing Jaxley Sacrilege take a lot of damage.
Well, maybe this Harp will actually outlast the Sacrilege.
I think it's actually very possible at this point. With the Tracking Disruptor off, we're seeing that Sacrilege drop. He's into about 20% armor at this point.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Navy Harp is at like 5%, but he was at 10% a minute ago, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
he's going down very slowly.
Very slowly, but he's almost as structured as skin of the teeth stuff.
He does have a local rep that's helping to keep him alive, and at the moment he's trying to pull himself back to the micro jump beacon. I think he's hoping that if that scram drops off, he might be able to burst away. The Sacrilege going through a structure as well.
Oh, it's
I think the Sacrilege is going to
die
first, and that's going to be a only one loss. There we go.
Yeah, very good.
SoulLess Zealot keeping his Navy Harp alive by the skin of his teeth, and keeping his dreams of winning this championship alive by the skin of the teeth as well. And we'll send you back to the guys at the desk.
I mean, my heart's beating, my hands are shaking, but I'm still shooting, and I'm still getting the headshots. It's like boom, headshot, boom, headshot. I'm still getting the shots. It's like boom, headshot, boom, headshot, boom, headshot.
Showed up in the kitchen sink. I've been sipping codeine in my cruiser, so I'm pissing pink. Ask me if I'm boosted, I don't even own no fucking links. Ask me if my fleet is boosted, man, what you fucking think? All these haters thirsty, so I guess that I'ma let them drink.
And SoulLess Zealot leads House Artichoke to its first win, moving it a little bit closer to the ascendancy of the Amarr throne. Of course, House Kadesh falling to 3 losses now. 3 losses, a very difficult position to be in. It would require all of the teams with multiple losses to proceed and win all of their remaining matches for them to be in contention. Is that correct?
Is it even possible?
I'm pretty bad at math, but I don't think so.
I don't think.
Maybe through some act of God or something.
Of course, honor bound by the rules of the Amarr Championship to pursue in the glory of the Amarr God all possible combat. So they will fight their best and possibly find themselves the kingmaker as we move forward, offering some other team a chance at rulership over the Empire. Now, the next match coming up at Rise is Khanid versus Khorazor. We've seen...
Am I not included in the next match? Like, am I not allowed to comment on it as well?
I didn't need to regulate your behavior, but now I do.
Sorry?
Anything else?
No, I'm done, thanks.
Great. So, the next match, House Khanid versus House Khorazor. Khanid coming in with 2 victories already, a very strong position. Khorazor yet to have their first taste
of victory.
I didn't need to finish the ellipsis there. Let's go to Rise.
And any team that can make it out of this week 3-0 is going to be in really, really good shape. That's like obviously exactly where you want to be. Puts them really comfortable for tomorrow, and gives them a really good shot at coming to Fanfest. So, and the other guys, just like in the last match, they really need to win if they want any shot at all. So, a lot on the line for both of them.
Of course, the last match of today will be Sarum versus Tashmerk, and neither of those teams having been defeated just yet, so that will come into play. This match kind of has to be going in a little bit more confident than Corazor. They've got a string of wins behind them, and they've shown themselves able to control the field and actually deal with the format as it's been presented. What do we expect to see in the bans here?
I mean, I expect similar stuff to continue. I mean,
similar stuff, you said?
Yeah, it's starting to stabilize a little bit, it seems like. I mean, Damnation and Curse are really consistent almost every single match. I think probably Navy APOC starts to fall into that almost every match thing as well. And then I don't know about the last lot. What do you think?
Oh, am I allowed to talk?
I think you are.
Okay,
I would
great.
love for you to express your opinions now.
Fair enough. Look, I think it really comes down to the tactics that the two teams are trying to fight here. Like, I think an Navy APOC ban sounds super strong, unless, of course, you want to bring it yourself or perhaps bait it out. Like, if you're trying to bait out a kite team where you think you've got some superior tackle and you can get in under those guns. But I mean, I think the meta's fleshing out in one direction, but it'd be super strong. Like, Lysus was really strong in the qualifiers. And I think if he goes for a bit of a Hail Mary here and tries to throw a spanner in the works, go completely off meta to something people aren't expecting.
All right, let's see if we can bring those bans up on the screen right now and see what they've actually gone for. There we have it, the Curse, the Sentinel, the Prophecy, and the Pilgrim. Neither of the battleships coming in on that ban.
Or the Damnation.
Or the Damnation, which suddenly opens up the field to a lot of play that we haven't been seeing so far.
A whole bunch of tank.
Yeah, a lot of tank and a lot of missiles. I'm really curious still why this Prophecy ban keeps showing up, even though we haven't seen Prophecies. That's
well,
surprising.
I imagine the reason we haven't seen Prophecies is that this Prophecy ban keeps showing up.
It hasn't shown up every time.
Why are people so afraid of them? I mean, they have that off EM therm lock, but they're not known for their massive damage protection. Like,
that's strange. I mean, it's maybe people really don't really want to use them either, and so they're banning it because it might be annoying, but they don't want to field it. I mean, I feel like that's the thing with like Navy APOC. Everyone wants to field it, even though it's really strong. They're not all banning it because it's something they want to use. But the Prophecies may be in a weird place where no one really wants to fight it, but they also don't have a good plan for it. So it seems just like a risk, and that's why it's always banned.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Maybe people are using them like, maybe you could use it as some sort of drone logi boat or something almost, like some sort of
perhaps
weird...
a strategy ban. Perhaps we're seeing not only are we seeing the establishment of a dominant meta, but now people metaing the meta. Thank God we're here.
The meta.
I don't even. It's for being limited to this few ships and this many bans. It's actually not stabilizing all that quickly. I mean, there's still so much variation here. These bans are. I mean, the Curse has been the one thing that's really consistent all day, but outside of that, it's varied a lot. And it still seems like. I mean, like Kelon with his short range team with the Zealot looked like one of the strongest things, and it's totally different from what everyone else is doing. That short range, high damage focus, and it does really well. So I think we're still a ways from seeing kind of how what the most optimal sort of long run is for the meta.
If you are Damassys Kadesh, are you pulling out all of the stops here, or are you riding fairly comfortably on your established victories for House Khanate?
I think anyone riding fairly comfortably is in for a little bit of a bump in the road, perhaps, a bit of an upset. So, no, I'm sure he's racking his brain and making sure he's trying not to think himself into a corner, but...
Yeah, I think if you're in his spot, this seems like an extremely important match because you should be able to win based on the previous results. Like, this is maybe his best chance to get a win of the matches they have left, so I would think that means they put even more effort into making sure they do a good job.
I mean, I thought Lysus was strong in the qualifiers. Like, I thought he had a really solid team, and he's had a poor run so far. But.
If you're Lysus, what are you trying to do with the ships available to you? How do you seek victory, Larrikin?
By winning and blowing up the other team ships.
I see.
Sorry. Look, it just completely depends on exactly what strategy he's going for. So something we've talked about previously, which was especially important in the qualifiers, was making sure you get off that EM therm lock. But I haven't really seen a whole bunch of strength out of that.
Do you know what I wish he would do here? I've been wanting to see if someone would give a try, especially in this match because there's Damnation and Sacrilege available. Bring a Vengeance and like one other, it doesn't matter what battleship you bring, and make them all tank as much as you can, like triple rep everything so that it's impossible to kill a ship for the whole match, and then bring a whole bunch of rapid light missile launchers and try to kill the other team support.
That would be cool. Do you think you could actually keep the Vengeance alive?
Yeah, I think so. If you just avoided the fight the whole time, stayed away, ran like an afterburner, and
wouldn't the
do you not tempt the wrath of the observant Titan?
I mean, you would be winning. You would have to. You could fight like you would use the other ships to fight. I don't know. I don't know how harsh the observant Titan is, but I think it's a legit strategy.
Interestingly, we've not seen that come into play. Of course, if you're just joining us here on the Amarr Championships stream, there is a Titan standing just off. Yeah, an Avatar. Sorry, a Titan class Amarian Avatar, just outside of the arena, ready to punish any pilot that the observers feel is acting, dishonorably in the eyes of the Amarr god. And what that behavior entails is somewhat open to interpretation. We know that it includes using ship skins, specifically the Blood Raider skins and the Equilibrium of Mankind skins, which are generally viewed as...
So we did see in the preliminaries, I think Tyrex got ordered to engage or face the wrath, as it were. So because he was avoiding perhaps honorable combat.
He was not winning at the time.
Where it was him versus 4.
I think Rise brings up a good point. If it's time for them to go,
there's that Titan.
There is that Titan. Of course, an amazing feat of Amarr
engineering.
Engineering is just a tremendous weapon on the battlefield. Generally, not so much in this tournament. Showing up,
not really allowed under the tournament rules
not
as
one
an
of the
option.
Available ships. It would change the meta.
It's considerably
skew it somewhat.
It would be difficult to kill inside 10 minutes.
Malice, Avatar,
Malice
which is more impactful.
Malice is more.
You think? Malice is more. Malice is more. What if there was a tournament edition Avatar? It doesn't matter.
Let's not start rumors like that.
Let's not worry about any of it as we go to the field where House Khanid and House Corazor are ready to begin their match. Commentating from the booth, CCP Fozzie and CCP Sledgehammer.
Welcome back to the desk. We have Khanid going up against Corazor, and we have Khanid in blue, Corazor in red. We've got on the Khanid side a Sacrilege, a Damnation, an Armageddon Navy issue, and a Confessor. And on the opposing side, a Zealot, a Damnation, an Armageddon Navy issue, and a Confessor.
So Lysus' Corazor team taking advantage of this Zealot that we've only so far seen the Tash Murkon guys use. It's a beam Zealot, lots and lots of damage at good range. The match is about to begin. It's worth noting that Damassys Kadesh's team, but first thing, both these Geddons are pulse fit. Yep. Damassys Kadesh's Damnation and Sacrilege are both heavy missile fit, so they're going to try to project across the field with that. The match has now begun, and already tracking disruptors applied to the Navy Geddon of Repic, and a scrambler on the Damnation of Damassys Kadesh. So this is a heavy missile Damnation, so scrambling it won't prevent it from being able to catch anything.
It's going up against heavy assault missile Damnation of Hoodie Mafia.
So at the moment, it's kind of tackling and being counter-tackled in the middle of the arena. We've got both the Damnations and Repic's Geddon all sitting right at 0, and they are brawling it out. Meanwhile, the Confessor of Sarek dropping very quickly.
Yeah, just going down really quickly. Not as quickly as the Geddon, obviously, battleship versus a destroyer-sized ships.
So the Confessor about to go off the field. That's going to be first blood for Damassys Kadesh. Bad news for Lysus. Lysus, of course, as we mentioned before, this is a must-win match for his team. And the Khanid team of Damassys Kadesh looking very strong. Again, they've basically been able to... They brought their Navy Geddon in at 0 and ensured that that was a target that needed to be dealt with. They used it to get tackle on the opposing Damnation, and it's just got a lot of hit points. These battleships have a ton of hit points, and the Zealot now as the next primary. This is great target culling for Damassys Kadesh.
Yeah, it's
they're
really
taking out the most vulnerable ships that can cause them a lot of problems as the match goes on.
Now we've just got this Sacrilege of Destinoa. He's just skirting around the outside, applying DPS onto
the heavy missiles.
Heavy missiles onto the Zealot.
So Lysus' Zealot is pulling far, far away from the battle. He is right at the edge of the arena. He decided to get as far away as possible to reduce the damage, and it's worked. He's now going to need to get in a bit closer to the arena to have a chance of applying damage. But in the meantime, he's shooting the drones. He's going to try to take down these damaged drones, these warrior ones that have chased him out. Not actually the easiest thing to hit with the Beam Zealot, but you can do it with Transversal. Meanwhile, he's actually still getting some damage from the heavy missiles. This is one of the good uses of a heavy missile damnation and Sacrilege core.
Yeah.
It means you can apply damage quite effectively across the field.
And of course, this is the same damnation setup that Damassys was rocking in the first match that they had today.
So we're seeing Repix Geddon dropping now quite quickly. He's in about 30% armor. Meanwhile, though, the opposing Geddon is actually also dropping down to about 60%. And we're going to have to see how this race of DPS between the two goes. Having driven Lysus' Zealot kind of far away from the battle, they've taken his DPS off of the field for now. So that, of course, is going to be helping because he's now having to fire. He's trying to take down this Confessor and not having a ton of success right now. He's not hitting it at the moment. This Geddon is about to go into structure here for Repic, and if they can take down Repic's Geddon while keeping their own at above 50%, Lysus is going to be back into this match in a really solid way, I think.
Yeah, we can see that Anarias' Geddon's actually fit with a tracking computer, but there's not really much in the way of tracking disruption on the field. It's all applied to him at the moment. Maybe it's just all focused on him.
Of course, tracking disruption, tracking computers are useful even if you're not tracking disrupted. They give you more range of tracking. It's always really a valuable thing to have. So Repic now dropping through structure. Meanwhile, both Lysus and Anoramis from the Corazor, or from the Corazor team are both in about half armor. So we got split damage.
There we go. Repic's off the field now.
When
so
we
they've
see
equalized on ships being killed.
When we see split damage like this, the usual reason for it is because the ships are so spread out. Basically, pilots will be trying to focus damage whenever possible, but often when you're getting into position, you just want to deal damage to what you can deal damage.
So Lysus' Zealot's actually dropping a bit quicker now than it was formerly, and it looks like Lysus' team has switched onto the Sacrilege of Destinoa.
So Lysus here is quite a fast ship. He's going at over 1,800 meters a second. And now he's got the rep drones on him, so I think he may be able to hold on, but he's at very low armor. He's pulling range. He's trying to get to the opposite side of the arena from the Sacrilege to get out of heavy missile range. Smart move. The Sacrilege is at one side, and he's moved all the way to the other side. So if he can keep that alive and then let them take down the Sacrilege, that may get them back into this battle. But of course, if Lysus' Zealot goes down, then they're in a lot of trouble.
They're...
Meanwhile, the Geddon for Lysus' team is holding pretty steady at about 50% armor.
Lysus' Zealot's catching quite a lot of reps. Is that from rep drones?
That's from rep drones, yep. He's being chased by a swarm of rep drones, and he's got himself in a good position. The Zealot is one of the more skill-intensive ships to fly in this tournament format. You've got beams, which means you need to really keep your transversal in mind, because tracking isn't great. You're fast, and you need to make sure you're taking advantage of that speed without going out of the arena. It's in a lot of ways similar to flying a Confessor in this format. Definitely both very skill-intensive positions, and Lysus, the team captain and champion, showing really, really good use of the Zealot in this match.
Yep, he's catch like most of his armor back now. He's about 3/4 back up. Damassys Kadesh, team captain, is now taking some damage into armor.
Yeah, but when you're shooting the damnation, it's a bad sign.
Sacrilege.
They really that's a sign of desperation if the damnation is your new primary. They do have a tackle on him. He's in within range, so they're probably making sure that they can get something they can hit. But if they can get a hold of one of these other ships, that would really provide them a huge advantage. If they can get, say, for instance, their Sacrilege to tackle the Zealot. I mean,
we've got smart bombs on our Arius' Geddon as well.
Smart bombs, of course, great for clearing off drones in this. They're going to be clearing off the Infiltrator 1s that are surrounding him. And that'll reduce the incoming damage. There you go. Big explosion of a bunch of drones there, and that's some of the drones gone off the field.
This has actually turned into a really tough match to call.
Yeah, I mean, this is very close. The Lysus' Navy Geddon really well tanked. This ship has a lot of hit points, has some local rep, and they are not going down without a fight. Really, really good pouting of Zealot. It looked like he could have died very easily a couple times there. And meanwhile, their Geddon is just pounding into that damnation. He's not going to go down quickly, but he is going down just ever so slowly.
So this is pretty huge if they manage to get the damnation off the field. They lose any links that they possibly had.
Yep.
And they lose like the toughest ship that they've got left on the field. So.
Yep. And of course, get themselves ahead on points.
Yeah.
3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Killing that damnation would be huge. Meanwhile, their get-in is dropping faster
yeah,
now.
They're
It looks
to apply
like
more damage to that.
Yeah, it looks like everything is now focused on the get-in. It's now a damage race essentially. Lysus' team is going to try to knock down a damnation before they lose that get-in. The get-in is going down fast now. Now I have to wonder, did he run out of cap to use his reppers? Perhaps he is firing still.
His hardeners are off. I don't see any effects on his hull anymore.
He is still shooting, which makes me think he's probably just using passive hardeners then, because I don't think he'd be shooting if his cap was still low. His hardeners would be off. But he is dropping a lot faster than that damnation now. This is bad news for Lysus' team
here.
Go down first. That get-in is going to go into structure, and he is going to be the next ship to die, I believe. And that will put the nail into Lysus' coffin and the nail into Corazor's hopes. Hopes of winning this. Yeah, he is in big trouble now. Dropping through structure, and meanwhile the damnation's still at about 8% armor.
Yeah. I'm curious. I'm sure I saw. No, he does actually have active hardeners on that get-in.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
Very curious that he was still shooting. What do you think? He was just sacrificing cap from his tank for more damage onto the damnation to try and get it down before he leaves the field?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe bait tanking? That
Possibly.
would be incredibly risky.
It's ballsy.
But now he is actually repping up again. It looks like maybe he was reloading a cap booster, and now he's back to being able to use his local rep. We do see his local rep running, and he is now dying slower than that damnation.
Yep, damnation's going to go down
really
first.
Turned around. That tank is really impressive now. I wonder if he was bait tanking. This is pretty amazing because he is holding on in the sliver of armor, and the damnation now gone. Lysus is up by one ship with 1 minute and 40 seconds left, and the Navy get-in is pulling back armor. He is now up to about 10%, 20% armor, and is going up.
So the Corazor team leading by bucketfuls of DPS on the field right now.
Oh, and a web on the damnation, that's not who you want to shoot if you want to try to get a kill in 1 minute and 20 seconds. If you're Damassys, you need to win. If you want to win this match, you need to kill something fast, and I think the only opportunity for that now is the Zealot.
The Zealot,
if they can get, if their Confessor can get tackle on the Zealot, they may have a chance here, but it's going to be tough because
that
right now
has got quite a lot of range between him and the Confessor.
And the Confessor is webbed and scrammed by the damnation. Great tackling by Hoodie Mafia's damnation, and that is going to be, I believe, a win with only 55 seconds left for Lysus and Corazor. Wow, we had written them off as that get-in went
well
into low structure.
To Lysus.
Get-in surviving with 32% structure left.
Wow.
The ship is on fire, but just able to hold it together. And that is going to keep the hopes of Lord Corazor alive. And it will be the first loss for Canid and Damassys Kadesh.
Otherwise, a very strong performance up until this point for Damassys.
Yeah, and I mean, they're still in a very great position.
Yeah.
They're going to be coming out of this day with 2 wins and 1 loss. That's very strong for moving forward to tomorrow's 2 matches
like the
for them.
Confessor of Arya Latolila is about to go down.
Yep, and that's just going to be getting, of course, another kill is very valuable in the tiebreaker, so really important. And they do get that, so great job to Lysus. And that, with 3 seconds left, is going to be a win for them.
Now, is this a rolling kill differential for the entire tournament?
For this round.
For this round.
Weekend. All right, so with that, we're going to congratulate Lysus and send you back to the guys at the desk.
Well played.
Hey everybody, Manic Velocity here, and I want to tell you a little bit about the EOC TV Rumble event that's coming up. EOC Rumble is a charity event designed to raise awareness to some great causes in EVE, such as Care for Kids, Plex for Good, Best of Us, and the Broadcast for Reps communities. The event will be held on the 29th of November, with 4 teams fighting over a single staging system. There will be plenty of objectives like a Titan to kill. There will be repping towers for each team, and a whole lot more. There will also be plenty of prizes to be won by watching the EOC TV live stream, so be sure to check it out. Entry fee to the event is 100 million ISK, which you can donate to the EOC.TV Corporation in-game. And all proceeds that are gathered from the event will go to benefit the charities that I mentioned. You can learn more by visiting eoc.tv/eve/rumble. So, sign up. Come fight your friends, make new ones along the way. We're gonna have a great time, and I can't wait to see you there. Thanks.
House Corazor, under the command of Lysus, coming up with a key victory over House Khanid, putting them 1-2 for the day. House Khanid, of course, going 2-1, of not the best record that will emerge out of today, but definitely the second best that will appear. Really, really great play there. Khanid almost cinching it quite early. Corazor coming back, showing some amazing piloting to balance that out. Larrikin, what made the real difference there?
I really think it was Lysus just keeping his cool, or his whole team keeping, not just him, his whole team keeping his cool. Lysus flying the Zealot did very, very well. He got very, very low there, but he managed to get out, get back his armor, focus on the objectives. When the Booth boys called it, saying, "Look, Lysus team's going for the detonation. That's a terrible move, or perhaps not the most optimal move." And I agree, you don't really want to start shooting a detonation early. They're usually full of hit points and horrible to kill, but it worked out for him in the long run.
Now, of course, that tank on the battleship, crucial.
Yeah.
An amazing play. What was that, a bait move? What was going on there, Rise?
No, you don't get anything from baiting there. You're not trying to trick anyone into anything. I think he was probably more likely reloading a cap booster. Maybe accidentally started an AAR on a reload or something as well. Could have happened, but most likely just low on cap and then just found enough right at the end because of the cap booster reload, most likely.
Certainly did find just enough at the end there. That was a real race to see who would reach the end of structure first.
I love how much this, having only 4 people on each side highlights individual pilot decisions and skill. This match had so many, I think, Lysus flying the Zealot, everything he did is so important. Keeping the ship alive and then being able to contribute later in the fight without dying. Similarly, their team losing the Confessor very early also plays a huge part. If they can keep that alive, then maybe this whole thing looks very heavily favored for them. And just throughout, and then the Geddon piloting as well, keeping himself in just barely enough HP to stay on the field. I mean, the format's really good for showing how important individual piloting is, which is cool.
It's something we don't see quite as much of in the Alliance tournament format or in other large team formats. But of course, flying an Eve, while it is heavily dependent upon what you can afford, it is also very much a game of skill, very much a game of being able to judge what your opponent has and how you deliver against that. And we see that happening very, very skillfully here in the Amarr Championships.
Absolutely. There's in the Alliance tournament, we see less of it, both because it's hard to see because there's so much going on, because there's so many more people, but also because compositions vary so much more that often it's just more basically a fleet counters another fleet, just in the way that it's designed. But we have so little variation here in what ships are being used that then it comes down to who flies them better, which is
also
really fun.
I think the lack of Logi really shows it. There's something in the Alliance on it we focus on a lot. That Logi pilot's doing really well. He's doing all the right things, and it's something we can zoom in on and see. It's very different in this. That we haven't seen a single Logi frigate all day, and I doubt we probably will.
Are you upset that the Logi cruisers were banned out early by the global bans?
No.
No, not at all?
No.
I like the ships exploding.
You've got to love a Guardian, though.
I mean, no.
No, you don't have to love a Guardian. Thank you, Rise.
You're welcome.
What ships from the banned list though would you like to have seen? Would you like to see some of the other ships appear?
The Purifier, I would think would have been interesting. I would have, because it can be so effective if it's piloted well, and it really could have had some. And I would have loved to see some amazing bomb runs come in there and maybe throw a spanner into the works. Or a bomb run, not really.
Probably not the bombs being the most important part of the Purifier. Surely those torpedoes.
No,
are
but
what
it's
you
a
have
whole
to
bunch
worry
of
about.
alpha or neutralizing, or depending on what you're going in there. But yeah, those torpedoes and keeping them alive can be quite difficult given how squishy they are. So
how much damage do you pull out of a Purifier versus
500 damage DPS, which is pretty nice. That's almost as much damage out of a. Depending on the fit, obviously, a battle cruiser. It's not going to apply very well to frigates and cruisers, but against battle cruisers,
taking out those battleships, certainly with those signatures.
Speaking of other bans, having the Geddon in the format would have been very different, at least. I think it probably would have ended up banned in the match bans a lot, but the times it made it through, it would have changed the sort of texture of the fights a lot.
Of course, the Armageddon Tech 1 hull getting bonuses for newts.
Yeah.
And having a significant reach, actually, with those, right? Is that not?
Yeah, it has neutralization range, and then it has drone bonus as well. So a whole bunch of bonus damage that isn't locked to EM and thermal and isn't coming from turrets. So that would have those teams would have just worked much differently than anything that's getting fielded now. But it's really powerful, and it probably would have ended up just banned in most of the match bans if it made it through.
Now, it's interesting to consider we don't yet have the rules for what is promised to be a serious theory-craft challenge of the finals, but we most certainly can imagine what's going to appear there based on what we've seen so far and what is available in the Amarr stable. Do you think we're going to see some of these ships that have been banned out play critical roles later on and possibly being, I mean, it's certainly a ways off, but will the teams have enough time to prepare when they're given the rules then to ships that they haven't seen?
I'm sure we'll see a bunch of the ships that have been banned for this round. We'll see them making appearances in that. That round, that format is insane, and I cannot wait to see how people react to it. It's going to be so fun.
It's going to be amazing.
But we can't talk about it, so.
We've got bans for this match, and I think the teams are almost ready to go. We'll put the bans up on the screen for the viewers at home. The bans coming in here for the fight, Sarum versus Tash Merkan, the Damnation, the Confessor, the Curse, and the Sentinel.
Yep.
Pretty
standard
much
stuff. One of the first Confessor bans. Maybe there's been one other one, something like that. But
so what do you think the thinking is behind banning Confessor? My gut is like that's probably the most effective destroyer/frigate on the field. Most damage you can get out of it, unless you go with a Sentinel, which has also been banned out. But what's the thinking behind banning that? Is it like I want to keep my support alive, or
it's
what?
just the best ship in the low slot.
Oh come on! There's got to be more. All right, maybe.
I think what I would be trying to do with bans here in general is is make people uncomfortable. And I think people have probably practiced a lot with the Confessor, and that's where they feel comfortable, and so it's good to get rid of it because then they have to do something else.
Rise, supporting making people uncomfortable. I can't imagine. We are going to go to the final match of the second day, the second round, the third block of fights here at the Amarr Championships. House Sarum, with a team headed by Mitara Newelle, versus House Tash Merkan, headed by Kelon Darklight. Of course, both of these houses throwing in tremendous performances already with 2 victories apiece. The team that advances from this will have the best record of the day going into tomorrow's matches, which will commence at approximately 2:45 on Sunday. That's 14:45 Eve time. We will go to the boys in the booth, CCP Fozzy and CCP Sledgehammer, for the final match.
Welcome back, everyone. This is CCP Fozzy, joined by CCP Sledgehammer, and we have the last match of the day. It is the 2 undefeated teams, House Sarum and House Tash Merkan. 2 really cool setups here. Both teams have brought Heretics since the Confessor is banned, and we have Kelon Darklight bringing back the infamous Pulse Geddon that he's been using to such great effect in his teams. It's Pulse Geddon versus Pulse Navy APOC, Pulse Navy Geddon versus Pulse Navy APOC for the battleships. Sacrilege with Hams versus Beam Devoter for the cruisers. 2 Beam Navy Harbingers for each side and 2 Heretics for both sides. The match is about to begin, and we've got a really, really cool one here. We can see Kelon Darklight has a lot more hit points, and just it's going to be a really, really challenging match for both of them, I think. What do you think about these 2 setups?
Well, interestingly, I've just been taking a look at the Devoter of Kelon Darklight's team.
Heretic taking a lot of damage.
Heretic's taking a lot of damage. Now, this Devoter is actually fit with quad light beam lasers.
Yep.
So it's going to be able to apply damage really easily to the Heretic of the opposing side.
Quad
although
light
he's
beams,
not currently doing that right now.
Yeah. Quad light beams are great for their low fitting cost. It allows you to fit a lot of plates, for instance, on a ship like that. Yep. They're a really cool module to use if you want to be able to open up a lot of power grid for other uses. So we're seeing currently a damage switch. Kelon Darklight is switching over to try to knock down this Navy Apocalypse. Meanwhile, the Navy Harb of Kelon Darklight is taking damage, but he is burning away from the field, trying to reduce that damage, take advantage of their tracking disruption on the Harbinger and the Apocalypse, and get the damage reduced. And it looks like he's been effective in that as the damage is now dropped off. And meanwhile, Mitara Newelle is in trouble. He's down to about half armor, dropping quite quickly because he's got the Harbinger Navy issues and the Pulse Geddon the Pulse Geddon right on top of him. This is, again, the effectiveness of this Pulse Geddon. We've been seeing Kelon Darklight's team use it to great effect.
So we've got scrams and all kinds of E-War going on to this Navy Apocalypse. He's not going to be able to move very far.
Yep.
He's got target painters on him, so it's even easier to hit.
Yeah, Kelon Darklight's Navy Harb not being tackled was key there.
Yeah.
He got to about 60% armor, but was able to pull range, and now he's turning around to head back in. This is the same kind of tactics we saw from Lysus and Zealot. You pull range, then you come back in and get back into the fight.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're going to be killing a Navy APOC, so really great start. I think a lot of people, including myself, are really impressed with how well Kelon Darklight's been performing in this whole tournament
It
so
sort
far.
of really underlines for me, like, it's something that's easy to forget in EVE. You know, you can just orbit, hit F1, but like positional gameplay like this is so important in this sort of format.
Yeah, I mean, every other team as well when it comes to the theory crafting has been trying to focus for the most part on these longer range battleships, using the range of the Navy APOC, which the Navy APOC actually pulling back a lot of armor now, by the way.
Yeah, he's back up to 50. Just above.
He is doing suddenly a lot better. They got the rep drones on him, and we're going to have to see what gets done about those. It's like Navy APOC and Devoter right on top of each other with a swarm of rep drones around each of them. But bringing the Pulse Geddon and using it to this kind of effectiveness, it's like he's playing a whole different metagame than everyone else.
For sure.
And so far it's been very effective. Meanwhile, this Devoter is just holding on really well. I have to imagine maybe shooting at the Navy Geddon might be a better move for Mitara Newelle, but we know the Navy Geddon has a lot of hit points. We've seen it. It's tank tested earlier.
Sure.
This is a ship that is probably well plated, and yeah, it's going to be tough to try to break it. But we'll see. They're still going after the Devoter, and meanwhile, their Apocalypse Navy issue, with the help of those drones, is doing well. And he has now broken tackle and pulled range, and that's what he wants. That's the position that he's going to be happy with, where he can use that range advantage of the Navy APOC.
And of course, with the larger range that he manages to get between him and the fight, he's able to track the smaller ships better. It's going to be a tough one. Like this Navy APOC's like. It seems pretty survivable.
It does indeed. All the Navy battleships, of course, very survivable.
Yeah.
Navy APOC dropping now again quite low. It looks like he had gotten out of range of the Geddon, but the Geddon now burned back on top of him. Maybe maybe he had to reload his cap booster to turn his micro warp drive on again to get in close. But now he's got it back on top of him. Kelon Darklight's Navy Harbor, in the meantime, also taking damage from the APOC. He's gotten back within range of this long-range Navy APOC and is taking quite a bit of damage. He's also being hit by the opposing Sacrilege.
Yep.
And we'll have to see how well he can hold up. This is...
it looks like he's trying to pull range away again, just looping back out to the edge of the arena.
At the moment, split damage we're seeing because the Navy Harb of... Kelon Darklight is needing to shoot at the Sacrilege. The chase him is the only thing that's within range. But I think he's going to go down first. Yeah, Kelon is probably going to be the first death, and that's going to be a really great start for Mitara Newelle, who has also been incredibly impressive, we should say. This is a team that I think a lot of people underestimated. They are made up of members of Pi, one of the oldest Amarrian loyalist alliances in the game. As we see Kelon Darklight dropping through structure now. But yeah, this team of Mitara Newelle has been incredibly impressive. They've shown their familiarity with Amarrian ships. This is an alliance that uses Amarrian ships primarily. They have a corp that uses it exclusively. And they really have done a great job of taking advantage of this.
Kelon Darklight, well played throughout this entire day, but unfortunately goes off the field first.
The Navy APOC of Mitara Newelle, looks like both the captains are about to drop. Mitara Newelle is now once again dropping. He keeps pulling a bit of range and getting himself back up and then dropping again as the Geddon gets back on top of him.
Now, it's not. I don't think it's fair. We can't really write Kelon Darklight's team off if they manage to get this.
If they kill this APOC, they're back in the lead.
In the lead.
And so we'll have to see.
Back on equal footing.
Well, the lead because it's a bit bigger, more powerful ship.
Sure. And of course, they've still got a battleship left on the field when this APOC drops.
So Mitara Newelle holding on just to survive as long as possible. That's his goal now. And there he goes, off the field. So now we've got 3v3. It's a Navy Armageddon Heretic Devoter versus Navy Harbinger, Heretic and Sacrilege.
And as expected, they're going to go for the Navy Harbinger of Elizabeth.
Yep. Elizabeth taking quite a bit of damage and is now tackled. That scramble from the Devoter is key. Of course, Devoters don't have the ability to scramble using the focus point at the moment. They will in the future, in December, but this is just a traditional scrambler fit to the mid slots of this Devoter, and really effective heavy tackle. It's a fairly fast ship. It's really hard to kill.
Tech 2 resists, make it, extremely tough to crack.
Meanwhile, though, Maxime for Kelon Darklight, the Heretic, is dying. He's going through low armor and is about to slip into, he's pulling back a bit. So we'll see if he can hold on. Holding on is going to be key here because this match might go to time. I wouldn't be entirely surprised. It's basically a duel right now between the two. It's a Sacrilege. The Sacrilege is chasing him down, and we'll see if that's going to be able to finish him off here. But yeah, he's taken chunks of structure out, but he is repping, so he's going to try to hold him for as long as possible. This is a Sacrilege, of course, with hams, so it doesn't apply damage greatly, and also it doesn't have a huge amount of range, so he can potentially pull out of range and then completely avoid the damage. We'll see how that goes for him.
And this Heretic's managed to just get like about 400 meters a second over the Sacrilege of Arcia.
Wow, this is a real positioning battle here. That Heretic is now, looks like, out of range of the missiles of the Sacrilege. The Sacrilege is going to now have to burn back into the rest of the field to get his damage on.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth's Harbinger slowly dropping through armor.
Elizabeth's Harbinger does have a smart bomb, so she will hopefully clear off some of these drones that are on her. She has damage drones. They've pulled them back, actually, realizing the damage were taking damage. We're seeing the Armageddon Navy ship pull back the drones, and now, that's going to be the Harb entering structure now. Still hard tackled with that scrambler. It's going to be very hard for it to survive.
Heretic's still taking some damage from that Sacrilege, though.
Yeah, he's once again caught, but
this is so
I
close.
would totally trade a Navy Harb for
a Heretic. Yeah,
However, Navy Geddon
there's the Heretic
and Devoter. All right. So Navy Geddon Devoter versus Heretic Sacrilege. Huge advantage to Kelon Darklight in that.
And it's not like these are easy ships to break. We saw that Geddon before. It seemed to be very, very well tanked. And as we've been saying, Devoter with Tech 2 resists, also very, very powerful.
All right. Here's something interesting. Elizabeth is now pulling back armor because the Geddon got in too close and was having trouble tracking with the tracking disruption. So Elizabeth's Harb there did get transversal up and got it close, but now, because of the fact that the Geddon isn't tackled and can pull range, the Geddon has realized its mistake, pulled out range, and now got the damage. So that slowed it down, but it wasn't enough to finish it off. 1 minute and 41 seconds left. This is, I will remind everyone, the match between the two undefeated teams.
What a match it's been so far.
Yes, indeed. These teams are both strong contenders to be finalists and go to Fanfest to decide who becomes the next Emperor or Empress of the Amarr. So we now have damage being applied to the Sacrilege of Arisa.
We've got hard tackle on the Sacrilege there now as well. That's just going to increase the amount of damage that they're going to be able to apply to it.
That Sacrilege doesn't have the ability to hold range. It's ham fit. It needs to get within range of this Geddon. So its only hope, I think, at this point is to get on top of the Geddon, which it does have hard tackle on. Try to get in under its guns. The Geddon is being piloted very effectively, though. Wasa in the Geddon is not trying to orbit, as we got a good reminder from CCP Rise earlier in the day. He's just going in a straight line, and that is keeping the transversal down, and he's forcing this Sacrilege to chase him. And since the Sacrilege is also tackled, the Sacrilege is gaining, but only very slowly. It's not going to be fast enough.
We've got a scram on the Sacrilege as well, so its bonus to micro warp drives is basically meaningless. It's been shut down by that scrambler.
So that Sacrilege is going into structure now. Really effective piloting. Once again, Kelon Darklight's team with this Pulse Geddon that is kind of off meta. It's not what most of the winning teams have been using. Brought in all 3 matches and really showing the effectiveness of Navy Geddons as the Sacrilege now dropping below half structure. And with only 8 seconds left, we'll see if it dies in time. Either way, if it doesn't die in time, then we'll have a full 5-minute overtime period. Let's see what happens. It survived for the overtime. So we actually are going to have now 5 minutes of trying to get that Heretic. But of course, the Heretic cannot evade for this whole fight. He's going to have to try to get in close enough to do damage at least. So we'll see how. Oh, there you go. The Heretic has died. He. There you go.
With a boundary violation?
I'm not sure how he died there, but one way or another, that is a victory for Kelon Darklight and Team Tash Murkon, who will be going with a 3-0 record, the best record of the day, into tomorrow. The team of Mitara Newelle for Sarum will be tied with House Canada for second place going into tomorrow. Also in a really great position.
It's been a very good day for matches. That was a very, very good match.
Indeed it was. And we'll send you with that back to the guys at the desk.
Ribbit. And that concludes the final match of the second day of the Amarr Championships. House Tashmir Khan advancing to a commanding 3 wins. 3 wins, the only team to succeed with that record. The second place teams, House Khanid and House Sarum, finishing the day 2 wins to 1 loss each. Our third place teams, House Ardashapur and House Khorazor, placing with 1 win, 2 losses each, and House Kador coming in with 3 losses to end this, the second day of the second round. How does this look going into the the first day of the second round? How does it look going into the second day of the second round?
I mean, great. The matches have been so good. Like, if nothing else, I'm excited just to see another day of this format. It's been really awesome. This match was incredibly close. Match before it was incredibly close. So.
Of course, a very short overtime in this match. After a bit of a slugfest, I really thought that ship was going to pop just at the last second. But
I was really hoping for a Titan DD, actually. That's what I was hoping for. And again, I was disappointed, but that's fine.
We may yet see one, perhaps tomorrow.
Perhaps tomorrow.
Tomorrow, when play will recommence at 2:45 Eve time. That's 14:45, sorry, Eve time. With the second day of the second round, there will be 6 matches separated by a break, just as long as the breaks were today. And we will see the teams face off against those teams which they did not already face in the round. So everyone will have fought everyone at least one time, and that will determine who will advance to the finals to be held at Fanfest in April 2016. The 2 teams with the best records following the completion of the second round of play, of course, flown out here for Fanfest, flown out to Reykjavik, Iceland, CCP headquarters, where they will engage in armed combat in the arena in front of...
In-game?
In-game. No, we're actually just going to give them weapons and let
No,
them
we're
slug
not.
it out.
That's not
That's what's going to happen.
That's not...
Larrikin confirms that we are going to allow people to cause harm to one another.
In-game.
In-game. It's .net. Any announcements before we go? CCP Rise.
No, have a nice night.
Final thoughts, CCP Larrikin?
No, I'm good, thank you.
We, of course, remind all of our players that EVE meetups are happening near them. Please go to evemeet.net to find out about EVE player meetups in person. And, of course...
I have an announcement.
Oh, do you?
I do.
That's great. If only someone had offered you a chance to make a final announcement. You know what? Maybe I'll do that.
All right.
CCP Larrikin, is there any final thought you'd like to offer?
I do, actually, if that's all right.
Go right ahead.
EVE Down Under, happening at the end of this month. I will be there. It'll be awesome. Everyone who is in Australia should be there as well.
How many sleeps?
I don't know. Several.
I think 7 or 8.
It depends on how often
9?
you sleep a day, really.
I've got 9 coming in on the...
9 sleeps.
9 sleeps. 9 sleeps. If you're in Australia or planning to be in Australia, please make the effort. Go out to EVE Down Under. Meet up with some CCP devs who will be there.
Including me.
Including CCP Larrikin, whose chat is always glorious. And in the meantime, you can tune into the second day of the second round of the Amarr Championships here on Twitch with CCP. In the meantime, for CCP Fozzie, CCP Sledgehammer, CCP Claymore, CCP Larrikin, CCP Rise, and CCP Antiquarian, I am happy to say good night.
Under the rituals laid out in the scriptures, succession to the imperial throne has begun. The royal heirs shall select their champions through the ancient trials of fire and blood. Sworn upholders of the faith, warriors without fear. These champions shall decide who will ascend the throne. All shall witness the power of God's chosen. And to those who dare threaten holy Amarr, it shall be known, retribution will be righteous.